is best suited to be here, best suited for him to be here, best suited for the Hurricanes to have him here. And I believe that certainly on the part of the team, they are hoping this will be the beginning of a longer-term stay for Necas with the Hurricanes. But I will tell you this about the 2-year deal. It makes him much more tradable at the deadline if things are not working out for the Hurricanes, and if things are not working out for Necas in this relationship. It makes him much more dealable then because he'd have an additional year left on his contract at a relatively reasonable rate for somebody who could provide, let's just say, 25 to 30 goals and anywhere from 65 to 85 points in the right situation. So I do think that this protects Carolina against it not going well, and it gives Necas 2 years of cushion. Does it walk him to free agency? Yeah. Is anybody really concerned about that? No. Because I believe if the Hurricanes get to this year, through this year, and Necas is doing what they think he's capable of doing, I think they can extend him in this upcoming summer. Maybe it's another 8-year deal, maybe it's not, but I think they can extend him in the upcoming summer rather than wait for the contract to run out. I think a great deal on all sides. It also gives Carolina all the room in the world to sign Seth Jarvis. So if Jarvis comes in at around $8 million, man, the Hurricanes would still have some room to play with in the salary cap, and that'll build over the course of the season, and maybe they add, I don't know, a goalie, another goal scorer at the deadline, because they will have built up plenty of salary cap room to do that. So good deal for the Carolina Hurricanes and Martin Necas, 2 years, $6.5 million per. All right. Now, a lot to do over the next 3 hours, a lot of it about football, and we're going to start things off ACC Football Media Day, and we'll talk with NC State head coach Dave Doran, and then right on the back of that, Jordan Waters, the new running back who transferred in from Duke. But let's start it off with the head coach. On Radio Row with NC State head coach Dave Doran, ACC Kickoff. Year 12? Year 12?
Right.
Do you remember year 1?
Yeah, I do. I remember it well. That was a tough year.
Well, I wasn't talking about the football, just the newness of it.
Yeah.
Because what you've done is establish, I think, one of the best programs in the country in terms of, you know, the consistency of it all. How did you get to this point? Is this the culmination of plans from year 1, or what is the evolution of it?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Persistence is really what's got us here, you know, and my willingness to grow and learn,
right,
evolve. I know I'm a better coach now than I was 12 years ago. I've had a lot of good help along the way. I've had to make tough choices and learn, you know, what's the right ingredients at this university to have with me, and, you know, have great leadership. You know, Chancellor Woodson, who's retiring, you know, and he's been tremendous for me. Boo Corrigan has been a great leader and partner in this thing. But more than anything, it's, you know, believing in what you do, how you treat people, how consistent you are, what you stand for and what you won't stand for, and being strong enough to have a voice, you know, and be good in your convictions about it. And I think for me, it's been a journey. It's been incredible, and it's really remarkable when I think about being here that long, to be honest. So very blessed.
How many times, and I'm not really looking for a specific number here because that would be silly, but how many times do you think you've decided something, you thought this is the way we're going to do it, and then you get, you know, a few years in and say, you know what, that's not the way we should be doing it? How many times have you changed methods in this dozen years?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I don't know. Defensively, we went from 4 down to 3 down.
Right.
Offense, we were a huddling, shift trade motion offense that went to no huddle, and now we're back into huddling and not huddling. You know, I've had a lot of different offensive schemes since I've been here, and 2 defensive schemes. And there's things within the program too, you know. Sometimes you got to fail to figure that out.
Right.
You know, we had a really tough year in 19, and so learning from that, uncovering, you know, pulling the Band-Aids off, seeing the wounds. How do we dress these the right way?
Right.
And then being proud of the scars. I think failure is an opportunity to grow. And I don't look at those as failures. I look at those as great learning opportunities for me. It starts with me and the ownership that those things that were bad were my fault. I mean, I'm the head coach. How do I fix them? And who can fix them with me? And yeah, so there's been a lot of reflection, a lot of self-talk, a lot of talk with my wife, a lot of talk with people I respect. But we've made multiple changes through time, and the right changes, in my opinion.
You've also had to change the way you actually build a roster out.
Yeah.
The portal has changed. You've adapted really well. There's a lot of, I'm looking at your depth charts, a lot of TRs, a lot of transfers in. How is it more difficult for you to build out your roster?
I think at first it was. Once I learned how to do it, year one, I felt like we were chasing our tail on the transfer portal. And once we developed our recruiting side of things better, and Boo hired a really good guy to help with the collective side of things.
Okay.
Doug Phillips is his name. Tremendous guy that's really helped us, works with a bunch of schools in his company. And then our collective has evolved over time as well. And I feel like we have tremendous people running One Pack, the name of our collective.
Yeah.
Those things matter, because it's all part of recruiting now. And so you have to understand how to work that with your roster management. And for me, once we knew how to put this recruiting office together and how to synthesize that with the staff, you saw what happened. I mean, we put together a heck of a class.
I mean, it's like professional sports, free agency. Well, you guys did a great job in free agency. One of the guys we're going to talk to is Jordan Waters. Is there a fishing debate? Did he beat you? Well, I don't even know. Is there a competition?
Yeah.
You guys fish
just
together?
Tell him to get the pictures out. I mean, any good fisherman will tell you that they can't tell you the story without showing you the picture, right? But we had a great time, and that wasn't a competitive day by any means, but sometimes it feels that way when one guy's catching more fish than the other. But that was something I love to do. People know that.
Right.
Jordan was in my office looking at my fishing pictures and like, man, you got to take me. And I'm like, well, if you play for me, we'll make that a reality. And we did. We went out and had a fun day.
He also talked about the culture, and I think that's something that runs through your program, and you can tell. You can tell with the players that I have had the opportunity to spend some time with that there is a sameness about who they are. How much is that part of, the driving force of the program?
It's a big part of recruiting, I can tell you that. Identifying, do they fit our culture? OKG, we call it, our kind of guy.
Right.
And it's just, we got to find guys that love to work and not just play. And it's not just about Saturdays, it's about every day. And, people that believe in the golden rule, treat people the way you want to be treated, and people that want to get better and understand there's going to be tough days.
Right.
And they're different types of people. When you talk about football locker rooms, I mean, they're full of so much. But
right.
The intangibles of who they are is really important to us.
I know Jordan's going to sit down, but let me ask you one more thing. There's a lot of expectations placed on your program, on this team, to do well this year. How are you approaching this year versus maybe other years? I mean, this is an opportunity.
It is, yeah. There's always expectations, and we have the same ones every year. And, we're excited about what we've put together and what these players have done to create it. And now it's time to go prove it. And so, yeah, I like being in the seat, I do. I like being in it a lot. I like being in it with players that have that same chip.
All right, we'll talk again before the season gets cranked up. Thank you very much.
All right, Adam, thank you, man.
You got it.
Go Pack.
You got it. Dave Doran here on the Adam Gold Show. And Jordan Waters is going to sit right down. I'm excited because Jordan Waters and I spoke last year, and he was very cool. He talked to me about what he wanted to do during an off week was to go eat McDonald's. That's what he did. He said, I'm going home to eat McDonald's from Fairmont, North Carolina. He was all fired up because they were away from training table, and we were just going to go chow down at McDonald's in Fairmont. The last time you and I spoke was last year. Different world, different life. Mm-hmm. You were headed off on a bye week to eat McDonald's. What is your go-to? What was your go-to meal?
2 McChickens, large fries, large Sprite.
Two Mc.
Oh yeah.
Do you do the spicy or do you do?
I don't do spicy. I don't like spicy foods.
Okay, that's cool. All right, let's get into some things. Because again, we spoke to you last year. You had a great year at Duke. What drew you to NC State?
First of all, my coach left, which was
That's right.
Yeah, that happened. But knowing I could stay in North Carolina, close to my family and friends another year, and play some great football in state, it wasn't a hard decision for me.
What was the connection like with other players right away? I mean, they obviously we all either played against you or seen you up close. What was the connection to some players?
Man, they all welcome me, man. I think we all got the same goal, and that's to go win some football games. And knowing I can come in and be a part of them, they all welcome me.
Dave Doran, first of all, the fishing thing. What is the controversy? He said we need pictures. So,
I got pictures. You want pictures?
We got pictures of fish.
Yeah. I can't lie, man. Coach Doran he can fish for real. But hey, I went out there and I caught me some nice ones though.
What'd you get?
Some big mouth bass.
Very nice.
Here you go.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, nice hat.
He was killing me when I got there, though. I didn't tell him. Don't tell him I said it, but I was kind of jealous at first the way he was catching them. Yeah.
Is there a technique?
Oh no, he just got it. He can fly fish and all.
All right. Well, I'm not my. It's more of my kids' thing.
Yeah.
Do you have any of your old Duke swag?
A lot of it, but
no, you don't wear it. You don't bring it out anymore.
But when I got in the portal, a company hit me up like, "Hey, you want to sell some gear?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm just give it away."
There you go.
So I went home and I was giving it away to all my family and friends. And like, if you go to Fremont now, you might see a lot of Duke blue down there. Yeah.
I talked to Jalen Stinson yesterday.
My dog.
That's right. It's what he said.
Yeah.
He said he was looking forward to playing against you.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to? Because you guys are going to play on November 9th, I think it is.
I can't wait. It's going to be fun, but I'm sorry I got to do it to him, but I need at least 250 against him. But nah, them my dogs. It's going to be a tough one because I know how hard they work, and them guys can play. And they're hard, they're tough, and they can play fast and physical.
After you guys had beaten Clemson last year, there were expectations on the Duke program. So now I think this is a completely different animal, what you're going to deal with this year. So what are your internal expectations?
For me personally, I just want to come in and be a great teammate. I mean, we all got goals, and my biggest goal and dream is to go on and play professionally. And I feel like I can come here in this program and give myself that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, but as a team, in order for maybe to really flash,
we have to be on a good team.
Right.
Yeah,
team's got to win.
And we definitely got a good team.
What do you like about the offense that you're in?
There's so many playmakers, man, everywhere. The receiver room, the tight ends, the O-line, the running backs, and it's so much talent, and it's going to be fun to watch, and we're going to put on the show.
Casey Concepcion is obviously a great player, but there are other guys in that room too. There's a lot of newcomers. Have like all of the guys who transferred in, have you guys bonded?
Oh yeah, off the rip. We all come in together and we all connected, and like I said, we all got the same goal to go in and win. So it was easy.
Who is of the other guys in your position, new players on this team? Who do you think is going to make the biggest impact, other than Jordan Waters, of course?
Oh, can I say two?
Yeah, you can.
I'm gonna go Justin,
8. I don't care.
Justin Jolie and Noah Rogers.
Okay.
And the craziest thing for me is how young they are, and I have to realize like I'm old, and those guys are young, man. They can ball.
So this is your 6th year, right?
6. I don't feel like it, but 6 years.
So do you feel old?
I do. I'm coming in the locker room, and there are people born in like 2005. Now I'm like, what the world? It's crazy.
So that makes me like ancient. So does it hurt getting up in the morning?
No, not
that old.
I'm good.
So how do you feel now? This is obviously your last kick at it. How do you feel physically getting ready for the season?
I feel great. Coach Thunder did a great job this offseason and making sure I'm running, lifting hard, and the training staff. And that's where I learned my time at Duke how to be a professional and how to take care of my body and do more.
Right, and less McDonald's.
I don't want to say all that, but don't tell my nutrition. I got to have my McDonald's. It's like my fix.
I understand. Talk to me real quick about the opportunity against Tennessee. I know there's a game before it.
Yeah, definitely.
But the game against Tennessee, it's a border state to North Carolina. There's a lot of crossover.
It's going to be fun, man. We back down here in Charlotte. Another for my first game. I never played in the Panther Stadium, so that's going to be fun. I know I got a lot of family and friends that's already getting tickets and suites and all that. But it's going to be a good opportunity for NC State as a school and to go out there and showcase our skills.
Was it hard for you to, not for you, but for your family and friends to transition from blue to red?
I'm still getting a little bit of trash about that.
Oh, really?
Not from my family, but like from some of my friends that's like, bro, you really at NC State now? I'm like, yeah, it's real. But it's been fun.
Well, good luck to you, Jordan.
Yes,
I appreciate your time. Have a great season. We'll be watching you down here against Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. You have a good one.
I thought both guys were good. Dave Doran, very good. Jordan Waters, fun. I think they're going to have a great year, and I think it's okay to put expectations on NC State. When we come back, speaking of expectations, the one and only Wes Durham joins us on the Best of the Adam Gold Show on The Adam Gold Show.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Are you ready?
From 54, snap and hold are good. Kick is on the way, plenty of leg, and it is good!
Over the middle it goes, and he's got Puka Nacua to the 30, to the 20. No one's going to catch him.
Back to throw, Crosby off the edge, and he's got a bug at the 23! Tua back to throw, deep, down the numbers on the left, and the Cheetahs got it! Touchdown!
The NFL kicks off August 1st on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Window Nation can help beat the heat in your home with a buy 2 get 2 free offer on insulated energy efficient windows plus 0 down and no interest or payments for 2 years. Schedule an in-home estimate now at 866-90Nation or windownation.com.
An orthopedic surgeon makes understanding pain painless.
It's the biggest frustration that patients have.
This is Dr. Pamela Mehta talking about aches with unexpected origins.
I see patients with pain in their knees, their hips, their back. Oftentimes, the pain is actually coming from their feet.
Bet they aren't expecting to hear that.
Those patients are super surprised. They can't believe that the pain in their knee isn't coming from actually inside the knee. But if you think about it, the feet are the base to your whole body.
That's why she suggests personally fit arch supports. Emphasis on the personal fit.
If you get something basing it just on your shoe size, it isn't going to fit you properly.
And if it doesn't fit well, it probably won't work well.
Go get arch supports fitted to you. It's as easy as going into a Good Feet store.
The Good Feet store is in Raleigh, Chapel Hill, Fayetteville, and other locations across North Carolina. Visit goodfeet.com to book your appointment today or just stop by.
That'll be 30 even.
That's 90 points! Sorry, that was a lot. Now that I'm getting 3 times the points on food and fuel with the Navy Federal More Rewards American Express card, I get a little too hyped sometimes.
Cool. Would you like your receipt?
In the bag! Sorry, in the bag, please.
Learn more about the Everyday, Everywhere Navy Federal More Rewards American Express card at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Whether it's the Hurricanes and their push for a second Stanley Cup or the first-year travails of Bryce Young and the Panthers, you get all of that and more in the Best of the Adam Gold Show, brought to you by Coach P at Capital Financial Advisory Group. Visit us at capitalfinancialusa.com.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for that special someone or even yourself? Look no further. Fox & Bailey is your destination for fine watches, men's jewelry, and distinct gifts. Now an authorized retailer of Omega watches. Come see these incredible timepieces and enjoy a bourbon while shopping the largest selection of watches in the Triangle. Visit the Fox & Bailey Watch Shop today at Bailey's Fine Jewelry's Village District location. Voted the best place to buy a watch.
Welcome back to the Best of the Adam Gold Show. A lot of stuff from ACC Football Media Day in Charlotte. And there wouldn't be a Media Day without the man himself, Wes Durham of ESPN and the ACC Network. Wes Durham is the voice of the ACC, the reason the conference turns a profit, and he joins us. I have to say that now.
Am I late, by the way?
No.
Okay, good.
No,
Sorry.
not at all.
All right.
So, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Boston College in Dublin. Are you going?
No, Florida State, Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech in Dublin.
Yeah.
Are you
Month
going?
from today? No.
You should. Why isn't Wes Durham doing that game?
Let's see.
You didn't want to.
Do I have a game that day? I think the night before. The very important. Night before I have a
Falcons.
very important preseason game. Very important preseason game. I hate to tell you where I might be when that game starts at noon on that day. Because it starts at noon Eastern after game day.
Right.
3-hour game day live from Dublin.
Beautiful.
Company likes for me to push the product when
That's
I can.
fine. That's all good.
That game's going to start at noon, 12:08. 16 or 17. I'll be on that. I'll almost be done. I'll play Calhoun, Georgia. I play Fields Ferry, great little track, Bermuda Greens, drains well, that kind of place.
So we talked to Tom Luganbill earlier.
Oh boy!
And he said if we, he looks forward to working with you.
We're gonna have a blast
if we can get him off the golf course.
Oh, off. I'll be off the golf course playing.
So why don't we get tips? Why don't we get Wes Durham's golf tips during the year on Twitter or Instagram?
Same reason we don't get yours.
Yeah, well, I'm not helping anybody. That's the problem.
It's a fact. I'm not helping anybody either. Although, shout out to Parker McLaughlin, the short game chef, for helping me reinvent my wedge game.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right.
I watched some YouTube videos, although I hear that's the worst thing to do. You've cashed in when that happens, but it worked for me.
That's all my son watches.
Yeah.
That's how he's learning. I'm doing well.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you.
How the
too.
Hurricanes? Everybody good? We signing players? What do we got? I got to get my hockey
No,
for you.
we haven't. No,
Okay.
they're not.
All right.
They have to sign 2 of their own players. You can just listen to the Canes Corner podcast. I update you all the time.
Okay.
There's a fresh 20-minute episode right there for you.
Okay.
You can do that before you make the, when you're making the turn.
All right. Sounds good.
20 minutes. Available wherever you get your podcasts and live on YouTube. We get here and it's all about narrative. What are your thoughts? I'm not asking you. I mean, I didn't criticize Jim Phillips from what I heard yesterday. I thought, or Monday, what I heard from Jim Phillips was forceful, was determined, was confident in the league's position. So let's just get this out of the way. Your thoughts on, what the league is dealing with and trying to fight on 2 fronts off the field.
I am reserved myself to the point that the litigation is the litigation and the games are the games, if you will. So for me, it's like, I don't know if it was Vicky and I went to Canada early July for a few days. Early June, I should say, for a few days. And I'm not sure at some point in Canada, I just didn't say to myself, you know what? At some point, they're going to decide something,
right?
And then I'll deal with it then. And that's kind of where I am. I really have tried to, and this is not to indict anybody whose lawyering involves, watching Perry Mason. And if you're old enough to know who that is, then you know who I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm in a scenario where I'm trying to stay informed by reading people who actually can tell me things as it relates to what's going on. And there are people out there doing that.
Yep.
And they're doing it at a very high level, and I'm grateful for their expertise. So that's kind of how I'm germinating whatever thoughts I have about where Clemson, Florida State, and the ACC are. The compelling thing for me is this. The fact that the document was signed twice by every institution really leads me to believe that we're kind of looking for a needle in a haystack here, and I'm not sure.
Definition of is in the case of Clemson.
We've gotten to that. We've gotten to the Attorney General wanting to see memos, I guess, in Florida.
Yeah, the Attorney General didn't get anything she wanted.
No, not really. So at this point, let's just expedite this process along. And if you really, really want to go somewhere, then that's where the private equity part kicks in.
Right.
You follow me?
Yes.
So that's a whole nother issue.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be easier for me between now and late August, mid-August, whatever, to just lock in on what my job is, which is to do the games.
Wes Durham is joining us here. Last thing on this.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I have not spoken to any attorney, 0 attorneys who think that the ACC's position is anything other than, they're good.
Right.
So to me, and I always said this about Florida State's position this was all designed to get a settlement. I don't think they're going to like the settlement, and even they know where the settlement is likely going to be because they've even floated something higher than $500 million as like full freight to get out, which if you're the ACC, that's what I would do, especially if you're confident in your legal position. But aside from all of that,
sure,
I don't understand why Florida State doesn't do this. If you're even thinking about private equity, just supplement what you already have with private equity, if you can even do this, if the league will allow them to do this, and bridge the gap yourself. Because competitively speaking, there's no better place for Florida State football than where they are.
Same for Clemson.
Same thing for Clemson.
Right.
You don't need that much private equity to bridge the gap.
Again,
am I thinking about it in too simplistic terms?
You are thinking of it, and by the way, Florida State and Clemson are not the only schools in that category.
Right.
They just happen to be involved in litigation about potentially the conference they're in.
Right.
There are other schools. Now, I do know this from talking to some people who dabble in that industry, that there are schools who are looking at PE to bail them into survival.
Right.
Rather than they go to extinction, they want to bail into survival, not bail out into extinction. That's where private equity, I think, is going to become common ground. However, structure of institution, structure of athletic department, structure of a lot of things has things to do with how private equity gets handled. Like, some places you're going to have to put on steel gloves. Some places you can put on rubber gloves. To handle that private equity.
Right.
People don't understand. They think private equity is Daddy Warbucks comes along, strikes a check, and hands it to you. No, then when he strikes the check and hands it to you, he's essentially telling you, I'm now your boss.
Right. Jim Phillips said, nothing is for free. That was his answer to the private equity question.
It's the best answer, too. Nothing is for free. Yep. And I don't think – and look, take a look at who else is investigating private – if the ACC went for private equity as a conference, and see, Brett Yormark floated that idea.
And Brett Yormark
is my man. I mean,
he's entertaining.
Yeah, but he is exactly what they wanted. Marketing, sales, promotion.
Yeah.
And he's good at it.
Right.
And he's very good at it. But is he selling me the, Mercedes-Benz or is he selling me the Ford Granada? That Ricardo Montalban, the genuine Corinthian leather.
I have a Hyundai Santa Cruz. I call it a modern-day El Camino. He could be selling the El Camino, which is, in its day, was pretty sweet.
It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out, Adam, because as you and I have talked about for years, we keep creeping and creeping and creeping to the edge of where all what we know in college athletics goes away.
I think football separates from everything, and that's where we're headed.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I think that's right. All right, let's talk about football. Let me ask you about new coaches.
Sure.
Let's start with Manny Diaz.
Yep.
Because I'm going to talk to Manny after the show. It'll air tomorrow.
Okay.
My first question to him, and I've already spoken with him, but I am curious, how is he different now than when he took over at Miami?
That's a good question, and I asked him that in the spring. We had to sit down in the spring, and I talked about what.
Maybe I stole it from you. That's very possible.
I asked we were there to the spring, and I asked the same question in the spring. What is it about now that's different when you got Miami? And he said it would be foolish of me not to take lessons and experiences from Miami, and to a degree his 2 years at Penn State, and not put them into play coming back to Coach Duke. I think he's got, number one, I thought he did a really good job with his staff. I thought the continuity pieces and the guys he was able to kind of bring in and their experiences, some connectivity directly to him, some indirect connectivity. Patke and Brewer, the two coordinators, fit that kind of bill. Look, I'm pretty excited about him, but I think he's also the realist about where this is.
Sure.
And, look, they went and got a real quarterback in the portal. That guy's a real quarterback, okay? And he's got a cannon for an arm. But it's going to take a collaborative effort of Duke. I think they're actually, and this is credit to Mike Elko and the momentum. And that's the other thing, by the way, that impressed me about Manny. He respects the work Mike Elko put in there in 2 years. And
Elko did a good job.
He did. And embraces a lot about what it is and knows that he benefits from that work now in a way where some of the heavy lifting Mike did, Manny may not have to lift as heavy an item. And I believe that my biggest concern about them is they were light in the offensive line in the spring.
Right.
I thought they recovered from some of the portal guys defensively. I like really who they are. I love Trey Freeman at linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan. I like Stinson and Rivers in the secondary.
Yeah.
Jordan Moore is an underrated star nationally.
What a good player.
Yeah, good player. I really like Dalmolin coming back to football, and I think Jaquez Moore can have a nice year running the ball. But I want to be careful with this. I don't want to say 2 and I don't want to say 7, right? I want to kind of watch it unfold. I hope Murphy stays healthy. I hope that Duke stays healthy across the board because I think if they're healthy, I think they just add to the depth. In the bigger picture, I think it's probably 2 years away.
Sure.
But I think that he capitalizes on some stuff here early. And I can't say enough about the support the institution has now put into that product as a result of what happened the last 2 years.
I know they have new locker rooms over at the Yo Center. They were very proud of that.
Yeah, it should be.
Tweeted out pictures. I put the league in tiers.
Me too.
I have Florida State and Clemson in the top tier. And actually, Florida State's probably ahead of Clemson, although who knows.
I don't disagree.
And I think the next tier.
Why is that the only 2 you got?
Yeah, because I think those are the only 2 that I know in terms of all of their personnel and their coaching is going to maximize the win total. No, sure. I mean, I hate to say this. I think Mario Cristobal has to prove that he can get the most out of the roster.
I think that's exactly right.
7-5 last year.
Right.
3-5 in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the walking definition of how did you do that?
Correct.
How did we get to that? So Miami, State, Virginia Tech, Louisville, maybe SMU, to me is the next tier, right?
It's interesting. I have 6 schools in my first tier.
Okay.
I have Florida State, Clemson, NC State, Miami, Virginia Tech, Louisville.
And then SMU hit.
I have SMU, Cal, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, Carolina in a middle 5. And then Pitt, Wake, Duke, Virginia, BC, Stanford in the bottom.
Maybe it's just because I'm a homer. I have Duke. I have Duke in that tier with the Tar Heels, and Cal is going to be interesting.
I love Cal.
Do you?
I like SMU and Cal more than I like Stanford. I think Cal is incredible. People in the ACC are going to find out how good a coach Justin Wilcox is.
Okay.
He's a really
We
good
know
coach.
they can run the ball.
He's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, I'm so good. I'm so glad Jade Knott's in this league. And Ulavea, the rookie linebacker who's Pac-12 Freshman Defensive Player of the Year, is a really good player. Now, Stanford is a little bit like Duke. Stanford's like a year or 2 away. They fight some things that other schools fight, lack of ability to get kids from the portal. They do get some. It's not for everybody, right? That kind of thing. Troy Taylor, an incredibly successful coach at Sacramento State. I watched him in the FCS playoffs and things like that. In fact, Troy Taylor's team played Cam Ward, an incarnate word, in the FCS playoffs a few years ago. And I'm telling you, if you can find the game on YouTube, it is sick.
Really? Okay.
I mean, it's crazy how good that game was. So that being said, I think Stanford's a couple years away. Rhett Lashley knows the ACC. Don't ever forget that this fall. I mean, he and I have talked a couple different times because I had great visits with him when he was with Miami. And I actually met him when he was first at Auburn years ago. But Rhett and I have had conversations where he knows this league. That's a benefit people are not thinking about.
Yeah.
Adam, have you looked at their talent level offensively?
They're very good, and
their defensive front is really good.
And the schedule is very conducive to having a good season, which you can say about most of the teams in that I put in my second tier.
Okay.
Most of the teams there have schedules that are conducive to winning.
Right.
The Wolfpack. I've been saying this for a long time. I've never been that concerned with, okay, they didn't win 10 or all of that. I think NC State's had a really, really great program for who they are for a long time under Dave Duran.
Absolutely.
So stable, great at player development, putting guys in the NFL, especially a lot of defensive linemen, a lot of defensive players, quarterbacks too. But this is an opportunity for them where, 9 wins is almost a minimum for them. And now, saying that about NC State, there are people that will lose their minds. I just said that out loud. But I look at it, if they go 8-4, I'm going to that wasn't very good. And barring a rash of injuries, and I hope they don't have that.
I just don't know that's going to happen.
I hope not.
I think look, I am such a big fan of the layering process of what he's done there that I just think they are more in position to be 9, 10, 11 than they are 7 and 5. I just think that number one, I think the kid at quarterback's talented and he's got to stay healthy.
Sure.
But their ability to run the ball.
Jordan Waters, kid from Duke.
Oh my God.
What a great between the tackles.
From Metropolitan Fairmount, North Carolina.
I talked to him about McDonald's. It's like he was looking forward to getting home and eating McDonald's.
Fairmont. You know who else was from Fairmont?
Who?
The great Rod Griffin.
Look at that.
One of the all-time great Wake Forest players. All-American 1977, 78, 79, right along the era of Phil Ford. Shout out Phil Ford. Who,
there you go.
Whenever I mention Rod Griffin in Fairmont, North Carolina, Phil loves it. But that's what I mean. Jordan Waters almost completes who they are skill-wise.
Incredible.
Okay, so take all the excitement of the depth they've got in skill. They're going to be okay in the offensive line.
Yeah,
right?
I think they could be more than okay.
Yeah, and now defensively, okay, I know Peyton Wilson's not there, kids.
I know, right.
I get it. He was a spectacular player. But at the end of the day, they're still pretty good on defense.
I trust Tony Gibson on defense, too, and Dave Doran, because it's a collaborative
You could give
effort.
Tony Gibson 11 pepper shakers. He'd be good. Love that guy.
So, I think it's a great opportunity for the Wolfpack. Playoff is at 12.
Yeah, and funny how we talk about 16, we haven't played 12 yet.
Right. Well, because here's why. We know where it's going. As soon as the NFL expanded to 17, we knew it was going to 18.
Right.
I mean, and that's an inevitability. It's going to happen either next year or the year after, whenever they can hammer out the CBA. So,
we're going to 18 in the league. No question.
Yeah, right. But in college football, we're going to ultimately be at 6. I actually think we're going to be more than 16. I think down the road we're going to be at 24.
If we get to the Super Leagues, you're right.
It also all depends how many teams are playing that. How many teams are playing? You call it Super League. How many teams are playing that? I'll call it Premier League. How many teams are playing Premier League? College football.
48 to 72.
Oh, I think it's a lot closer to the lower number there.
The 48 number.
Yeah, because how many schools are really prepared to be paying $25 million a year to their football players?
Oh, God. Just none.
Right.
None.
So
again, remember what I said earlier about private equity?
Yes.
It's a bailout to survive.
Uh-huh. That second tier of football is going to be a sweet spot for a lot of schools. Maybe a lot of schools in this league.
You're thinking like I'm thinking, though. You and I follow.
We talk a lot.
We Premier League and Champions.
Yes.
You and I are thinking on the same line.
You good? You good with West Ham?
Yeah. I'm okay. New manager.
Yeah. Lopetegui knows what he's doing.
Yeah. The tour is in California. No, the tour's here. It's Crystal Palace tonight in Tampa and then someplace in Orlando, I think. Wrexham's on the West Coast.
Wrexham is on the West Coast. We just had Manchester City and Celtic at Chapel Hill.
Full, right?
Yes. And
I heard, by the way, shout out, he's not here. They did special Man City light blue cups.
Did it say Etihad on it?
No, it had
Pep's face?
No, it had Manchester City's logo.
Oh, wow.
I'd like one of the special He's Not Here Manchester City cups, too.
Very nice.
Become available. Shout out.
I was at Chelsea Wrexham last year. I really want to go see Liverpool and United at Williams-Brice in Columbus, in Colombia.
Wow, that could be 1,000 degrees.
I know.
With 165% humidity.
To watch a bunch of teenagers play.
Wow.
West Durham. I appreciate your time, my man.
It's great to see you.
Nice to see you,
By the way, just so you know, hour and a half ago, there was a guy here wearing a Maryland hat and a Maryland shirt.
Lost. Very lost.
And I sang the fight song.
Did you?
Maryland. Maryland will win.
Between you and I,
yeah,
you're the only one here who can sing the fight song.
You got the flipping degree.
I know. I never knew the fight song.
I don't know the whole fight song. I just know that part. I told Van Pelt, I can do the letters and we'll win.
I just know that we also said go to hell, Carolina, when I was at school. That's all I know.
A lot of people did.
Well, that's true. We were not alone.
A lot of people still do.
Yeah, exactly right.
By the way, we went through this and did not talk about Carolina.
So,
Just so you know.
I'm not bullish.
I'm not either. At this point, it's a prove it situation.
I hope they do well. I mean, I'm not rooting against them. I hope they do well.
All right, Minnesota's a huge ACC week 1. Carolina, Minnesota, Miami at Florida, Clemson, Georgia Tech, and Atlanta. They're all like in the spotlights.
Yeah. Oh, Clemson, Georgia in Atlanta.
Clemson, Georgia, and Atlanta. Rather.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a big opening weekend. Yeah. That's Wes Durham, voice of the ACC. The reason the conference makes money.
Go Canes.
Yes, I'll give you an update later. When we come back on the Best of the Adam Gold Show, we'll dig into Florida State with E.J. Manuel, former quarterback and now with the ACC Network, as he joins us on the Best of the Adam Gold Show.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here for my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and they are the best place to bet the games this summer because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Then you can bet on all your favorite international teams in all your favorite sports, from basketball to badminton and soccer to swimming. FanDuel has it all. Don't miss your chance to score $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS to sign up and start betting the games today. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 or over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
The 2024 Atlantic hurricane season is predicted to be among the most active we've ever experienced. Prepare your home now against power outages of all types with a Generac home standby generator from Alternative Power. After sensing a power outage, a Generac generator automatically restores your home's power, helping protect you and your family. Act now for a free 10-year warranty on a Generac home standby generator. Terms and conditions apply. See more at alternativepower.com. Alternative Power, North Carolina's Generac experts.
The North Carolina News Network and the North Carolina Healthcare Association invite you to listen to our latest podcast. Hospitals play a key role in emergency readiness alongside first responders who protect us from any scenario. During this month's conversation on the state of healthcare, we take an in-depth look at the role that First Health Moore Regional Hospital played at the U.S. Open in Pinehurst. We'll talk with Moore Regional President Jonathan Davis, who says,
"We start our day with an 8:30 safety huddle. We call it looking back, looking forward in our days to kind of highlight and bring forward any concerns or organizational issues, community issues that may occur."
We also speak with Dr. Catherine Newell with First Health EMS. She reiterates,
"We spent about a year beforehand meeting with federal, state, and local representatives to ensure a thorough preparation for the event."
You can listen to our latest conversation wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
If you pay your city or town for electricity, you live in a public power community. Our public power providers in North Carolina keep the power on 99.9% of the time. That averages out to be less than 1 hour a year without power. Public power line workers who work day and night, rain or shine, are key to that unbeaten reliability. Better reliability, fewer outages, faster restoration. That's the value of public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
The North Carolina Zoo in Asheboro is excited to announce that the Canine Champions for Conservation is back for a second year. This guest favorite experience features rescue dogs performing thrilling agility challenges to raise awareness and support for wildlife conservation efforts. Shows run now through Labor Day weekend and are free with entry to the North Carolina Zoo. To learn more about this tail-wagging experience and other zoo-related activities, visit nczoo.org. Plan your next zoo adventure today.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we believe that getting to know you is the best way to protect what you love most. We have friendly agents in every county to help you prepare for the unexpected. And when life doesn't go as planned, our award-winning claims team will be with you every step of the way. Find a local agent today at ncfbins.com. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Welcome back to the Best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold, not here on a Wednesday, kind of a random thing I get, but we got a lot of stuff from ACC Media Day in Charlotte, so let's get right to it. E.J. Manuel, ACC Network and former Florida State quarterback. And back on Radio Row with ACC Network star E.J. Manuel joins us. Former Florida State quarterback, how ticked off were you last year? I'm going to dig into this.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I felt bad for the players, truly. I felt bad for the players. I felt bad for Coach Norvell. I've never seen a team be undefeated and not get a chance to compete for a championship. And I'm talking about from Little League. I'm talking about from Pop Warner. I'm talking about from PE class. Right? Like I'm talking about from pickup basketball. If you keep winning, you stay on the court. And so, of course I was upset, but I think I was more sad, truly, for those players. And look, if it was Florida State, if it was another team in the ACC, I just felt like, truthfully, it was an indictment on our conference. I really felt that way. I really felt like it was one of those deals where, like, they won the ACC, still not good enough. And I get it in the sense of Jordan Travis not being available, but then it's a team game. Right. I mean, in there are 22 guys that play offense and defense, and you can include special teams. So since you started and you brought it up, I that's kind of how I really felt about it. I was like, man, this is, the game took a hit, in my opinion. I felt like college football took a hit when that decision was made. Look, the playoff was still fun. I enjoyed watching those matchups. But nonetheless, that wasn't the right thing to do by those players at Florida State. Now those men that have moved on will never have the opportunity to fight for a championship again.
Right. Do you think if there were players in the room, not active players, but more players, like a player involvement in that committee? Do you think there might have been?
There are, though. I mean, there's former players. Yeah, there's former players on that committee.
And they still distant.
Look, it's a business too, and now that I'm working in this realm, I'm no longer a player. I still have the thoughts of a player.
Oh, sure.
But I also work in TV. I work in radio like you as well, and I get it. I understand you want to put seats. You want to put butts in seats. You want to sell tickets. You want to have the TV ratings be high, and so at that point, does it make more sense to have a good team from Florida State without their star quarterback in Jordan Travis, or an Alabama or a Texas who still have their healthy QB? It just is what it is. And so, again, it's something I've never seen. But 12-team playoff, hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Well, it can't happen again now if you win your league.
The 13th team, right?
But it can't happen if you're a conference champion like Florida State was. E.J. Manuel, ACC Network is joining us here on Radio Row. To that end, there was a PR machine that was ongoing, because it started kind of a week or so right after the Travis injury. Yep. It started. Well, it's not the same Florida State team. You could see the groundwork being laid, and there was nobody to combat that. There were very few. I shouldn't say nobody. There were very few voices to combat that
on the national
national level.
Yep.
Why do you think that was? Why do you think that there was nobody who was used? I think there was some available that didn't. That weren't able to do that.
Hey, I don't know. It's above my pay grade.
Did you raise your hands?
We always raise our hand, and anytime we get a chance to, because look, we could talk college football outside of the ACC too. You know what I mean? So I don't know the ins and outs of how that works as far as staffing, as far as scheduling. I understand game days had the same crew for a long time,
right?
And I even remember before Jordan got hurt, there was a segment on game day where the guys were saying which teams should get in and which teams shouldn't be in. And I can remember them saying, hey, this team, Florida State, they don't belong for whatever reason. This is before JTA even got hurt. And so sometimes when that narrative starts to get out there, and again, I respect everyone's thoughts. Everyone has their own opinion. But again, when you have a conference champion that's undefeated, they should be in. And whether they get beat by 60 or not, it don't matter. They still earned the opportunity to get into that game. So as far as staffing, as far as who's on those shows, hopefully we get more of those opportunities. And when we do get those opportunities, we know we got to hit home. We got to do well with those. And, I've been on First Take a few times. And I take big pride in that, because I know I'm not just speaking for myself and my career in media. I'm also speaking for these young men that play in the ACC that deserve the same type of respect that these other conferences get too.
E.J. Manuel, ACC Network, is joining us here. Let's talk about the brands. Florida State looks like they're back. Right, Mike Norvell has done an amazing job. Clemson, we'll see if they can get back to where they were, a few years ago to compete nationally. But Virginia Tech looks good. I think Louisville's going to be good. NC State's going to be good. Yep. So it's going to be harder to say that.
I like that
about the ACC.
That's what we need, though.
Right,
and it goes back to the conversation we were just having about the ACC champ getting left out. if the rest of the conference has a narrative where people look at the schedule and say, man, what a tough game on the road at Clemson. What a tough game on the road in Raleigh. What a tough game in Blacksburg. What a tough game there at Pitt. That's where you start to get more respect. And again, I don't know everything because I've only been doing this for 5 going on 6 years now, but I have seen a trend. And I think it's very important in our non-con games. And I say I'm talking the ACC.
Sure.
You got to be competitive. And even if you lose those games, make it a good game. So when Clemson takes on Georgia, make it a good game. Try to win it. When Miami plays Florida, make it a good game. Try to win it. And that should be the goal. And I'm sure there's a couple others that I'm missing that as far as non-conference games. But the first 2-3 weeks of the season, I think set up the last part of the season for the champions or for the runner-ups that come out of this conference.
Yeah, there's no those 2 games you mentioned early in the season, State and Tennessee back here in week 2. So those 3 games in the first 2 weeks of the season, yes, for Clemson, who's probably not as good as Georgia. Georgia's just a machine at this point. But you have to look the part, right?
And it's football. So sure, again, like we mentioned on paper, because I still have the lens of a player, Adam. Naturally, that's just who I am. It's in my DNA.
You should be.
I've been doing media a little bit, but I'm still a player. And so, all the stuff on paper sounds good, looks good, but when you actually get between the white lines, that's where you have the chance to change that. That's where you have the chance to execute. That's where you have the chance to just literally beat your man that's in front of you. And so I think Clemson has a really good shot in that game. This is the 3rd year for Cade Klubnik. He's a junior now. Coach Sweeney talked about he's put on 30 pounds. He's a solid 205 pounds. And I think the key for him, don't try to do too much, man. When he did have errors, they'd be right there at the goal line and it'd be a ball handling issue. Or he pulled the ball when he should have just handed it off to Will Shipley and let him run in for a touchdown. Let the guys around you make those plays. And I had to learn that myself too. When you're an athletic quarterback, where you come from high school and you've been the big man and you can make those types of throws and plays, sometimes it puts you in bad spots when you get to college, when the opposition's talent is a bit better than what you're experiencing there in high school. And so I think those are all good learning lessons for Cade. I'm excited for him. And he's going to be a huge piece. If they do beat Georgia, I think it's going to be because of him.
Yeah, and again, there's so many great games early in the season. Let me just take you back to Florida State right now. What is, as much as you know, what is their mindset about the league? Are they done with it? I talked to Danny Cannell a fair amount. He loves the league. Right,
I still work for the league.
You do, right?
Yeah.
He no longer works for the league, but he loves the league and he tries to keep up for it.
Sure.
What's your sense about where they are?
It's a business decision. I think when you look at the SEC or you look at the Big Ten and you see that those schools are getting paid out X amount of dollars,
right?
There is a delta between what's being paid out to the teams in this conference.
It's getting bigger too,
and it's going to continue to compound over 5-10 years. And so I understand the battle. I don't think it's any love lost toward the ACC from Florida State's, and I don't want to speak for FSU. I'm just looking at it from my lens as a former player and also someone who works at the ACC network. I've always enjoyed being in the ACC. It's, Florida State, when I think of FSU, I think the ACC. But at the end of the day, it's 2024, and the business of college football is much more, in our full view. Right? It's always been a business. I think sometimes it was just sugar-coated with student athlete and this and that. It's business.
Oh,
right? It's about
100%.
Money. And so, I can understand why Florida State or Clemson are trying to, make things happen so they can get the same type of resources that those other teams that they're trying to compete with on a national level, not just within the conference. Because think about it. If one school is making $60 million, you're making $30 million.
Right.
But you're still producing, you're still winning, you're still doing all these things. Eventually, those other schools that got more money, simply going to have more bells and whistles. They're going to have some Lamborghinis, and you're going to have Ford Focuses. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. And so I get it, but ultimately, I do hope they stay in the ACC. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Do you drive either of those cars?
No, I do not. But my first car was an '89 Toyota Camry. Didn't have a transmission, so it sat in front of our house for like the first 8 months of us having it.
It didn't have a transmission?
Didn't have a tranny in it.
Okay.
Nope. So it was actually a family friend that gave it to us. Literally, I made it nice, though. I still watched it every single weekend. The funny thing is it only went in reverse, Adam. It only went in reverse. So I can remember being in our cul-de-sac, in high school, going in reverse, then I come out the cul-de-sac a little bit, and loop it back around, and sometimes put it in neutral and kind of like kick it a little bit. But yeah, as far as the cars, I am a car guy too, so that's probably why I mentioned the Lambs and stuff.
That's fantastic. Yeah. EJ Manuel, thank you so much for sitting down. Appreciate
Anytime.
it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
When we come back in hour number 2 on the Best of the Adam Gold Show, we'll talk NFL football and quarterbacks with Will Brinson. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The world's best athletes are in Paris going for the gold, and 99.9 The Fan will help you follow them for all 16 days of the Summer Games through August 11th. Listen for all the action from across the Atlantic. Check in often for event reports from Paris and the updated medal count as Team USA takes on the world. Updates from the Summer Games on 99.9 The Fan are presented by North Carolina FC. Get your tickets today at NorthCarolinaFC.com.
Hey, contact lens wearers, are you tired of wasting time and money every day putting contacts in, taking them out, cleaning, ordering new ones, glasses, prescription sunglasses? Dr. Lori Travers and Travers LASIK can change your life. About 5 minutes per eye. You could go back to work the very next day. 2 years, 0 interest financing is available, and $1,000 off is available. 919-510-6830. 919-510-6830. Make the call. You can go online, TraversLASIK.com.
Triangle Area Trading Cards is trading up, moving across the street to a big new location. So they're hosting a grand opening party Saturday, August 3rd from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. There'll be treats, trading, 99.9 The Fan will be there giving out Durham Bulls tickets, and the first 100 folks in get a gift bag. Check out the Collector's Lounge, trading tables, social media room. It's a great chance to see the inventory, check out the space, and trade for sports and TCG cards all day. Details on Facebook and Insta at Triangle Area Trading Cards.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
In memory of a local legend, Seven Oaks and the Stonehenge HOA will hold the third annual Wild Bill 5K this Saturday at Seven Oaks Swim and Racket Club in Raleigh. Proceeds from the 5K event go to the Ronald McDonald House and the Helene Foundation. Reserve your spot at wildbill5k.com.
Hey, it's Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. If you're like me, you're getting crushed by rising costs of everything these days. I get it. It's brutal, and credit card rates are ridiculous and going higher. That's why at Loan Pronto, we launched our Express Equity Line of Credit to bring you the relief you and your family need, using your home, your most valuable asset. We've helped thousands of people like you get fast relief with cash. The average homeowner who does this gets tens of thousands in just days and is able to save $850 per month in overall expenses. I'm talking life-changing money, your money that you have access to right now. Listen, if you're ready to get control of your finances and get off the hamster wheel, call Loan Pronto. You can get approved for Express Equity Line of Credit in just minutes, and we can get your cash in less than a week. Stop digging a deeper credit card hole today. Call Loan Pronto now. 919-381-1760. 919-381-1760. LoanPronto.com. 919-381-1760.
Equal housing lender. NMLS 166-1781. Subject to lender approval. NMLS ConsumerAccess.org.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's sea to shining sea and water damage as far as the eye can see.
It's America.
It's freshly mowed grass and a fence that was freshly vandalized by a pack of unruly teens.
It's America.
It's also round-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
He scores! What a comeback!
Visit GotBryan.com. That's GotBryan.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Welcome back to the Best of the Adam Gold Show, hour number 2, and we start with Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. Quarterbacks are making all the money. Tua Tagovailoa, Jordan Love. Is Tua really worth it? We'll get into that and more with Will Brinson of CBSSports.com. Can we start with
you know what? In your defense, Adam, I did furiously Google who's in the Hall of Fame game, just in case you were like, who is playing again?
Yeah, I don't know.
The Texans and the Bears, I think. This Thursday.
I was over. I had Ravens. I had the Ravens and the Broncos in it, and it's actually the Texans and the Bears. Hey, wait, if the Bears are playing in it, I'm borderline intrigued if we get a Caleb Williams sighting there. But that's coming up on Thursday. Right now, I don't really care about it.
Well, it's Texans are. I'm trying to think. It's because Devin Hester got in, right? It's Andre Johnson, Devin Hester. They try and match up the teams who are playing in the Hall of Fame game with like the Hall of Fame class. That way, like if like Texans fans are going to go down there because they love Andre Johnson, so they'll go down. They'll go up there, I guess, to Canton. And then you also get to watch your team play in a preseason game.
We should have the why aren't the Panthers playing in it with Julius Peppers? And I understand he played for the Packers and Bears as well, but Julius
Bears for Peppers. That's why, yeah.
That's right. Julius Peppers is
nobody wants to see the Panthers. That's why.
That's also a good point. That's why we bring you on, Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. I ran these numbers. Tua Tagovailoa, whatever the total was, I think it was 212 over 4 in terms of a contract extension. Barring Miami doing something, this year the cap hit for Tua, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle is only $50 million combined. Next year, it's $114 million. The following year, it's $141 million. What's going to give?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Dolphins, they actually, Christian Wilkins, the former Clemson standout, who's now with the Raiders, they gave him a bunch of money. He was kind of a cap casualty. They lost some pieces on defense as a result of the cap situation. I don't think Tua is. I don't think it's that massive of a problem. Obviously, you have big cap hits, when you sign a quarterback to a huge contract. I think it's like 59.4, 63.4.
Yeah.
They can actually get out of his deal. You would have $45 million in dead cap space in 2027, but then 57.8. I mean, I thought the Tua deal specifically, on Friday when the Tua deal got announced and Jordan Love's deal got announced or got reported.
Yeah.
Like the Tua deal to me was easy. Like people, I know everybody's initial reaction was, "Oh my gosh, what a crazy overpay!"
Yeah,
but you've got to pay these guys. We did this whole song and dance about, is that too much money for a quarterback? Back when Derek Carr and Jimmy Garoppolo got paid with the Raiders and the 49ers respectively.
How's that working out?
Ago. Well, I mean, yeah, it ended up being fine. Yeah, like 2 weeks later, like 10 quarterbacks got more money than they got. They're the highest paid quarterbacks in all of football. So I mean, I guess my point is like, with the Tua thing, you can, the way that the salary cap is structured out now, there's so much room in the salary cap. You can restructure all the time, and it's just not that difficult to keep to get under the cap and to keep most of the players you want. But yeah, I mean, they'll have to do some funky math to make sure they remain cap compliant. But I really don't think it's like that huge a deal that we have this big contract coming. For Tua, and then of course Waddle. You got a Mike McDaniel offense. You want your yak guys, get them the ball in space and let them take off. And Tua is a very accurate deliverer of the football, and he fits that system well.
I think Tyreek Hill is going to get released at some point within the next, not this year, obviously, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tyreek Hill has got a $34 million cap hit next year, and then a $56 million cap hit the following year. I wouldn't be surprised if Hill is the cap casualty, because if you're $71 million over next year's cap today, I just don't see how that's going to work. But now to the quarterback himself. Is Tua Tagovailoa a top 5 quarterback in this league?
No is the answer. I don't know why I was dancing on the no. No, he's not a top 5 quarterback in the league. You don't get the quarterback salaries are not commensurate though with your talent level. It's more about when you sign. I do think.
But why aren't they? Isn't that the silly thing? Like, let's agree that the top 4, in whatever order we want to put them, after Patrick Mahomes as number 1, Allen, Jackson, Burrow. After that, who's the next best quarterback in the NFL?
Allen, Jackson, and Burrow.
Is the next
Stafford? Maybe?
Yeah, it might be Stafford.
Yeah, Stafford.
Of course, he's old.
That's obviously. I'm a Stafford homer. I mean, I think you can I'd have to look. I mean, I think that's a spot where there's going to be some movement in terms of who takes that spot this year, because you sort of have Burrow needs to stay healthy, but he's in that upper echelon group. I mean, Jordan Love could make a leap forward if he has an incredible season. I think Stafford has a viable case. I wouldn't be shocked if Trevor Lawrence got involved in that sort of range. I think Anthony Richardson is a guy who we only saw a little bit of last year. I don't think he's going to become a top 5 quarterback, but I mean, he's an extremely talented prospect who flashed a lot. So I think there's a huge range of guys where somebody could fill that void, and honestly, it could be Tua too. I mean, look, he's really developing in that Mike McDaniel system. Finally healthy for 17 games last year. Led the league in passing yards. Has these 2 great weapons, and they add Jonnu Smith, who's a big yak guy at tight end.
Right.
You have Raheem Mostert, Devin Achane. He keeps changing how you pronounce his last name, but he's projected to play in the slot 40% of the time this year. Could have an enormous season at that running back hybrid spot. I mean, this is a team that could, especially with Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, their 2 top pass rushers are going to be, start the season probably on the pup, or at least, not be ready to go week 1. This is a team that they're going to rely on their offense early and often, and it's going to be on Tua's back to try and win games. And I think he can do it. I mean, they dropped a 70-burger last year against the Broncos in week 3. I mean, this is an offense that can cook, and Tua's getting more comfortable in it and played really, really well. They need to beat some good teams. They need to win a playoff game. I get all that. But if last year's playoff game, he didn't play against the Bills 2 years ago. If he does, they probably beat the Bills. They almost did with Skylar Thompson. And then last year there were 15 fans who went to the hospital. It was so cold in Kansas City last year. I don't put that all on Tua. I think there is a chance that he really justifies this contract in the coming season.
I think, again, I am not the expert here. I think Tua is a player who is a product of his surroundings rather than the opposite. Whereas,
I wouldn't disagree with that, and I wrote about this for CBSSports.com. Check it out on the website. But it's like there are probably the guys you mentioned, and I mean I don't even know that. I think Lamar qualifies too. Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow, and let's not forget Joe Burrow's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and has had a ton of weapons. I mean, Patrick Mahomes had Tyreek Hill for a long time too. Josh Allen just lost Steph Diggs, but he's got plenty of. I mean, all these guys have weapons. It's pretty rare nowadays. Most of the time when somebody doesn't have weapons, they end up playing like Bryce Young. I do think that this is a. I think a lot of quarterbacks are byproducts of their offense or their surroundings. I think for the most part, when you look at quarterbacks, there's probably 4 guys who can grab a bad roster by the scruff of its neck and drag it up into success. And even then, again, as I listed, most of these guys have pretty good weapons around them.
Well, I agree with everything you just said, but I think that Tua is the product of his surroundings more than to me, Allen, Jackson, and Mahomes 100% make their offenses. Those 3 guys, I'm not even sure Burrow does yet. All right, I think Burrow, it might be a balance. I don't know. Maybe Burrow does make the offense, but I think those first 3 guys 100% are the drivers of their offenses. I think it remains to be seen whether Tua is ever that, and I would never pay what the Dolphins paid Tua if he's not that. So to me, he's got to become that to justify that.
If you think the outrage on Tua is hot, wait till Brock Purdy gets $60 million next offseason.
I think I'm not arguing that, right? And I actually had just brought up Brock Purdy earlier. I'm fascinated to see what he's going to be like this year. Does he have another great year? Is he the product of the players around him? Or what does Kyle Shanahan think about that going forward along with John Lynch? But yeah, it'll be interesting. Victoria brought it up in our one-timers. That's one of the quarterbacks that I am looking forward to. I thought Jalen Hurts took a step back this past year, didn't he?
Yep.
Part of that was injury. I thought Jalen Hurts took a big step back this past season.
Part of that too was having Matt Patricia as your offensive coordinator. Right? No, just kidding. That was Mac Jones. With the Eagles specifically, what's going to be really interesting to me is you have Philadelphia goes from losing both of its coordinators a year before and having this total changeover, and it clearly affected them. I mean, defensively, Matt Patricia was the defensive coordinator for them for parts of last year. That was a problem down the stretch. What's interesting to me with Hurts is Kellen Moore comes in, he was Herbert. He leaves Dallas, goes to Los Angeles. Herbert's ADOT, average depth of target is insanely low, like lowest in the league for all qualified starters, which is just ridiculous for a guy of Justin Herbert's talent, right? What are you going to do now that you have Devontae Smith, you have A.J. Brown, these big, deep targets, and like guys who can burners who get down the field? Are you gonna have Jalen Hurts dinking and dunking it? And then maybe more importantly, what happens with the loss of Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelce? Because you're talking about the two biggest veteran leaders in that locker room for the Eagles, and you're talking about if you like if you want to line it up in the middle, the literal spine of both the offense and the defense. What happens with the tush push? Whatever they call it,
the brotherly shove.
The brotherly shove. Yeah, that's right. I think you've heard Eagles players say that they feel confident, in Howie Roseman's ability to sort of, keep the bucket filled, so to speak. And they got Cam Jurgens who could fill it. And apparently, I think Jason Kelce said he knows what he's doing. They've got Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter on the defensive side to fill in for Fletcher Cox. But I mean, it's just two big losses, and I'm just curious to see how that impacts Jalen Hurts and really that entire offense as a whole because of that.
Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Is Dak Prescott going to reset the entire market whenever Jerry Jones gets around to it?
So I'm writing about teams who can miss the playoffs next year, like 6 playoff teams or 7 playoff. I can't remember how many I've decided on, but playoff teams that could miss the playoffs. And it's like you get there's 2 easy ones. It's I think you look at the Steelers and the Browns, just the underlying statistics and metrics, and it's like, all right, those 2 teams make sense. Then you got to start like picking teams like the Texans and the Cowboys. And the reason I went with the Cowboys for this particular article and not the Eagles, and I think one of those teams is probably at risk just because of how that division could play out. But the Cowboys have Mike McCarthy and the entire coaching staff are on a lame duck year. They're on 1-year contracts. Dak Prescott is on a 1-year, is in the final year of his deal. CeeDee Lamb is in the final year of his deal. He wants a new deal. No more Dan Quinn. You have just a tough division. I think the Washington's much better with Quinn than they were last year. And, addition by subtraction as well. Plus, I think the Giants bounce back a little bit if Daniel Jones can stay healthy and play like he did in 2022. I mean, it's crazy because Jerry Jones does this all the time. He did this twice with Jason Garrett. The first time they did it, Garrett ended up, I think, won like 12 games and went to the playoffs, got a new contract. And then the last time he did it, he went stupid 17-game schedule. I guess he went like 9-8 or 8-9. I can't remember exactly which one it was. But, he missed the playoffs and he gets fired and they bring in Mike McCarthy. And so I'm just curious to see how the Cowboys all pans out. When Jerry said, we're all in on 2024, everyone thought that meant the Cowboys were going to spend big in free agency. We're going to go like up top in the draft, trade up for, weapons, like make it, give Dak a huge contract, pay CeeDee Lamb, like shove all in on the season. What Jerry really meant, I think, in hindsight was we have what we have. And if it works out in 2024, that's great. Otherwise I'm going to fire everybody. It's like they sort of feel like maybe they're going to have to reboot. And I don't know, man, that's an interesting proposition for a team that has cornerback Stephon Gilmore's gone.
Yep.
Trevon Diggs coming off an ACL. They've got 2 offensive linemen. Like Tyron Smith's no longer there, so you got a rookie who's stepping in at left tackle, and then you're changing your center as well. I mean, there's a lot of transition and a lot at stake in Dallas. It feels like a slow start, and that thing can get ugly quickly.
I agree with you, and I wouldn't pay Dak. I wouldn't make Dak a $60-some-odd million a year quarterback. I just think that Dak falls into that category of being a product of the players around him. But I mean, again, I'm not the expert.
Now, in his defense, he had maybe not the best year of his career, but a really, really good year in his first season with Mike McCarthy calling plays. I think in like a different year, like if you take the primary figures involved here and put them into different uniforms in a different city with a different owner, we're sort of talking about a consistently good team. Really, this Cowboys, they won 12 games 3 years in a row. It's just they had these the three playoff losses where you lose with that horrific play call where the Dak tries to spike the ball and can't get it off in time against the 49ers. Then Zeke gets absolutely truck sticks while he's snapping the ball against the Niners the next year. And then last year, you hosted the Green Bay Packers, and Jordan Love comes in and obliterates you, and Dak plays awful. So it's I think more than anything, just because of how Jerry Jones operates and the finality of NFL seasons, it's these playoff losses that have Mike McCarthy on the hot seat. You win 12 games 3 years in a row in the NFL, and you should be getting a contract extension. And instead, it's man, this guy's got the hottest seat in all of football.
Right. Look, it should be a hot seat, but Jerry Jones' seat is not hot, and he is very quick to tell you that the Dallas Cowboys have had just two general managers in their history, Tex Schramm and Jerry Jones. He is very proud of that, and if I were a Dallas Cowboys fan, which I'm clearly not, I would not be proud of that. But since I am not, I am laughing at that.
I mean, Jerry's ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl without Jimmy Johnson's players.
Good luck.
The thing that keeps him up at night is the fact that Jimmy Johnson, Jerry's the GM. He hires Jimmy, who's the coach, but Jimmy's doing all the personnel stuff in 91 and 92. Jimmy sets up the roster. They can't coexist for long enough. Jimmy leaves. Barry Switzer comes in, wins the Super Bowl with Jimmy's players, and the Cowboys haven't been to it's 27 years since they've been to the NFC Championship game. I mean, that's crazy, man. It's been a hot minute, and I think it keeps Jerry Jones up at night a lot. Maybe 28 years if it's this time. It's the longest streak in all of football, maybe, for the championship game. I would also point out there's a great story. I think Mike Silver wrote about it in Sports Illustrated. It's hard to Google, but it's true. Jerry told him once that before the 96 Super Bowl, he prayed to, and I'm using air quotes here because I don't really believe, I think he was talking to Beelzebub or somebody else. I prayed to God and said, God, if you give me this Super Bowl, I'll never ask for another one again. It's how short-sighted can you possibly be?
Final thing. Are we sure? Are we really sure that those weren't Jerry's players? I'm going to leave that joke sitting there for people who pay attention to things that are not necessarily related to football. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. It was good to talk. We'll do it again. Next time we talk, we're going to rank the quarterbacks.
Ooh, I'm down. Let's do it.
All right. When we come back on this Best of the Adam Gold Show with Martin Necas signing his contract yesterday and the possibility of Seth Jarvis putting his name on the dotted line coming up in the next days or weeks, let's talk to Tripp Tracy, Hurricanes analyst and my friend, next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Win Your Weight in Meat is back on 99.9 The Fan. Text PORK, P-O-R-K, to 919-860-5326 and enter for your chance to be one of our finalists. Through August 2nd, we'll pick 10 people to come on air during the drive with me, Tim Donnelly, and share their weight. On August 5th, we will randomly select one lucky winner and they will score their weight in meat. Served up by the North Carolina Pork Council and their dedicated team of farmers that put bacon and barbecue on your plate. Learn more at ncpork.org.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And how do I know we're the #1 sports book in America? Because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you hit your first $5 wager. So do it. Pick an easy one, like, I don't know, a basketball victory, and then collect your $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Sign up. Start betting the games today. FanDuel.com/Adam Gold. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. 21 or over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99.
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Picture this. The perfect summer barbecue. No stress, no responsibilities. Just all your friends, burgers sizzling, hot dogs cooking, Pepsi Zero Sugar fizzing, and a backyard of very, very happy people. Oh yeah, we could get used to this. Very, very used to this. Grilling. Better with Pepsi.
For a limited time, get 2 20-ounce Pepsis for only $4.25 at Refuel. So hurry in and enjoy an ice-cold Pepsi today.
It's hot out there, and your inefficient windows mean high utility bills all year long. Window Nation sells some of the most energy-efficient windows you can buy and was recently ranked highest on Forbes' list of best window installation companies. Right now, for every 2 windows you buy, you'll get 2 windows free, plus 0 down and no interest or payments for 2 years. Stop paying more than you have to. Schedule an in-home estimate right now at 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer Sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair's gone, all thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
Welcome back to the Best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold, not here on a random Wednesday. I'm sorry, but we got a lot of good stuff, including a conversation with Hurricanes game analyst Tripp Tracy about the Martin Necas contract and the future with Seth Jarvis. Martin Necas signed his contract, 2 years, $6.5 million annually, $6 million in year 1, $7 million in year 2. That happened on Monday. Still waiting on the final piece of the Carolina Hurricanes puzzle, Seth Jarvis. All of that will come up in this conversation with the one and only Tripp Tracy, who I have clearly taken away from Frank, the dog, roaming around golf courses in Michigan, or his mom. How are you, Tripp?
Hey, G. Great to hear your voice. No, you haven't taken me away because we're trotting as we speak. So if things go awry here in this hot stove, it means the great Frank has taken us away from it.
All right, so he's not roaming around the golf course on his own like the last time we spoke.
No, he actually perfect timing. I was on the phone with Tom Dundon at one point, and I said, Tom, I got to go, because Frank was in the process of taking down a squirrel.
Well, there's a lot of things Frank could have been in the process of doing. So let's dig into Martin Necas. Initial reaction to 2-year deal, $6.5 million per.
If you look at, our hot stove session since, the Hurricanes playoff run ended, AG, this is the way that we hoped it would end up. With all the speculation, had he played his last game in a Hurricanes jersey, right. and really you and I, privately and on the air, after such a great regular season, not this past season, but the season before where he could have been an all-star, was Svechnikov. You and I were really looking to see, was he going to be able to be an impact player in the playoffs? And for me, he checked those boxes. I mean, he was rewarded statistically. I think he probably deserved better statistically. He wasn't afraid of the physicality. I mean, you think about the Trouba hit and the fact that his play was interior driven, and he was a 200-foot player. So, not to say that I disregarded his regular season, but I really wanted to see what the takeaway would be in the playoffs. And for me, it was extremely encouraging to the point, and then knowing his personality, and I don't think he's played his best hockey in the National Hockey League. I think, as you and I have talked with some regularity, this is a player who has a desire to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And he's no longer going to be just a support piece. He's going to be a relied upon leader on this hockey team. So there's no question that Carolina is the best place for him. And now it's up to him to take the big steps in his career. And when I think about his appetite, and I think he's shown a lot of mental toughness in his career because, even for a 2017 first-round pick, nothing's been given to him.
Right.
And he has shown the ability in the past to let tough seasons go and focus on the present and focus on, the next positive steps as a hockey player. So I was delighted to see the news. I think it's a good number. It gets him obviously to unrestricted free agency in a couple of years. I would have really had a tough time seeing Nate just go to another organization and take the steps in his career as an all-around player, as a playoff performer, that I happen to be, a big believer that he's capable of in Carolina. So I factor all that together, and, this is exactly where I hope the conclusion would find itself.
Oh, you and I are on the same page with regards to what his potential is. Just looking at the last 2 years, it's funny that they're really polar opposites, because last year's regular season was statistically excellent in basically in every possible way, except the end of the regular season was a big drop off in production, and in the playoffs 2 years ago, it was basically a zero, except for that one game against the Devils, Game 4 in New Jersey, where he made two of the great, offensive skill plays. Maybe something that he was the only one capable on the roster of pulling off 2 goals against the Devils. But last year, while the regular season wasn't as good, you and I agreed the playoffs was it was a different player. And I wonder if you've thought about the players he was playing with, and maybe if that had something to do with it, because you wouldn't have thought that Natchez with Jack Drury and Jordan Martinook would have been such an effective line, but it was argued. I mean, it was a super effective line. It just didn't score quite enough.
I sure thought they were Carolina's best line in Game 6 against the Rangers. I really did. And, I remember, I think I shared it with you before, because I go down to the bench for the bench interview on television, and it was right at the beginning. It was Ronta played that night against the Islanders, but it was announced the next day or two that Frederick Anderson had been diagnosed with a blood clot. So it was right at the beginning of November, end of October. And Natchez always warms up late when I'm walking to the bench. And he had been playing with Jack Drury in the last couple of games, and you could see how much he loved playing with Drury. And when you get that type of compliment from a fellow player, that's a great compliment. And so it's really not that surprising to me. And the fact that Martinook has been a playoff performer. I mean, we know what he is.
Yeah.
But, I think it speaks to the fact that with the departures that Carolina has had and guys that have a absolute necessity, not in a support fashion, but in a central leadership fashion, specifically Natchez, to take big-time steps in their career, that who knows? You might see that type of chemistry between Natchez and Drury again. I know that Rod's message to Marty Natchez, Rod has spoken about it, in his exit meetings before he went and won the World Championships with Czechia was, next year's your year. It's your year to truly take charge.
Yeah.
And I would have hated it if he took charge in another organization, which if he can put it all together, because you just said it perfectly, a season ago in the regular season and then this recent playoff, you're talking about a game-changing player and a complete player.
Yeah, and I think, ultimately it comes down to responsibility and what you are asked to do for the team. And I think Necas is going to be asked to do a lot, probably out of necessity. There aren't that many options as Rod has had in the past. But I think Necas will get penalty kill time back with at least two players who killed penalties last year, probably not being in the mix. Certainly Teuvo Teravainen's not here. We don't know what the status of Jesper Fast is. So Necas is as, liable as anybody to get penalty kill time. And he did it a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, and was actually fairly good at it a few years ago. And then that Seth Jarvis kid came and took his lunch money. We'll get to Seth in a minute. Did you put any stock into the Marty's dad, he wants a trade, all of that? Or is that just normal frustration from everything that came out at the end of the year?
I would chalk it up to unfortunate that ended up, coming out publicly, whatever the extent of it is. But, I remember as I'm in Michigan right now, I remember a couple of years ago, before he had that great regular season that you mentioned, that he could have been in the All-Star game with Svechnikov in Florida. I remember going to the grocery store in July prior to that season because he had a rough season. And, we spoke, and I could tell that because he really worked that summer on his mental strength and the ability to specifically let bad shifts go within a hockey game. And the way that he responded told me that this is a player and a person that has the ability to let go of yesterday. And I think that applies here moving forward because there's no denying the fact that there's been a lot of drama on both sides.
Right.
It got to the point where it was public drama. There was massive speculation and even anticipation that he wouldn't be a Hurricane any longer. So now that he signed the 2-year deal, it's up to Marty Necas, and he has shown a propensity to do it before. And I spoke to him this morning and spoke about his mental toughness and to put everything that's led to this point in the rearview mirror, learn everything that you possibly can that he's shown the ability to do in the past, and be one of those guys that is going to be a true offensive leader and a complete relied upon forward for the team. He's done it before. He's got to do it again, even with a bigger responsibility.
All right, I'm going to ask you about Seth Jarvis here in a second, but real quick, you spoke to him today or early, maybe yesterday. Is he excited about this?
Yeah, he's excited. I get up so darn early. It's 5 o'clock in the morning because I don't like to rush through my coffee. And, so at 5:30 in the morning, there are only a few people that I can speak to in the United States. So that's usually when all of my European concentration occurs because they're 6 hours ahead. So, I just spoke to him. I've always been a big believer in the person that Necas is. I really have always been. That's not to say I've been very honest about the learning curve moments, the individualistic moments, the defensive liability moments on the air. But I've always seen a player that has a tremendous hockey IQ and that desire to be great. And that's what makes me, that's just what I enforced to him today and how excited I was to see him coming back and is going to be such a heavily relied upon player of the team.
All right. Now, the next and the final piece of this roster puzzle is Seth Jarvis. Plenty of room. Contract, amount is not going to be an issue. And my understanding is they're relatively close on this deal. They're basically at the 3-yard line. It's time to drag this across the line. But what are your expectations for Jarvis? It's going to be an 8-year deal. We're not even talking about anything else. It's going to be an 8-year deal, probably in the neighborhood of $8 million. What are your thoughts about Jarvis based on what we saw last year, especially late and in the playoffs?
Much the same as Natchez from the standpoint that he needs to continue to get better. And I mean, his learning curve right from his first preseason, in my 25 years, I can't think of a player that went into his first training camp and preseason clearly not penciled to make the team and left the team no choice. It was Nino Niederreiter injury that opened the door, and that's all.
Right.
And within that preseason, I couldn't get over how rapid his learning curve was in real time away from the puck and defensively. And every area of his game has shown that rapid growth so far in the National Hockey League. He's just got to continue to show that growth. Within the same context, he's now part of the leadership core of this team.
Yes.
In every way. But with that, I don't ever want to see Jarvis lose his, I don't know if adolescent is the right word, youthful enthusiasm that is so paramount within the rigors of a season to team chemistry and team success. So maturity that will come, just by living it.
Yeah.
And that learning curve that has always been so rapid, but never to lose that enthusiasm that is so charismatic, such a big piece of the winning formula. And, one of the reasons that he's probably as popular as any player on the Hurricanes roster is with a huge Caniac.
Tripp Tracy, the one and only. Best to Frank, best to your mom. I will talk to you and see you soon.
Love you, AG. Can't wait.
When we come back on this Best of the Adam Gold Show, back to ACC Football Media Day in Charlotte. We've got two things coming up. One, former Virginia Tech wide receiver star Eddie Royal now at the ACC Network, and potentially Carolina starting quarterback Max Johnson. A lot to come here on the Best of the Adam Gold Show.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here for my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and they are the best place to bet the games this summer because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Then you can bet on all your favorite international teams in all your favorite sports, from basketball to badminton and soccer to swimming. FanDuel has it all. Don't miss your chance to score $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS to sign up and start betting the games today. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 or over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Turning 65 soon, navigating Medicare can be overwhelming and confusing, but you're not alone. The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program can help. SHIP counselors can help you understand Medicare benefits to make your best choices. Visit ncship.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
The North Carolina News Network and the North Carolina Healthcare Association invite you to listen to our latest podcast. Hospitals play a key role in emergency readiness alongside first responders who protect us from any scenario. During this month's conversation on the state of healthcare, we take an in-depth look at the role that First Health Moore Regional Hospital played at the U.S. Open in Pinehurst. We'll talk with Moore Regional President Jonathan Davis, who says,
"We start our day with an 8:30 safety huddle. We call it looking back, looking forward in our day. To kind of highlight and bring forward any concerns or organizational issues, community issues that may occur."
We also speak with Dr. Catherine Newell with First Health EMS. She reiterates,
"We spent about a year beforehand meeting with federal, state, and local representatives to ensure a thorough preparation for the event."
You can listen to our latest conversation wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
If you pay your city or town for electricity, you live in a public power community. Our public power providers in North Carolina keep the power on 99.9% of the time. That averages out to be less than 1 hour a year without power. Public Power line workers who work day and night, rain or shine, are key to that unbeaten reliability. Better reliability, fewer outages, faster restoration. That's the value of public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
The North Carolina Zoo is celebrating 50 wild years in 2024. Voted top zoo in the nation, the North Carolina Zoo is centrally located in Asheboro. Bring your family for a day trip or a weekend excursion to connect with nature and make cherished memories. Discover towering giraffes, a herd of elephants, a crash of rhinos, and a flock of seabirds. Plus, ride an endangered species carousel and stroll through the exotic butterfly garden. Plan your next outdoor adventure at nczoo.org.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we believe that getting to know you is the best way to protect what you love most. We have friendly agents in every county to help you prepare for the unexpected. And when life doesn't go as planned, our award-winning claims team will be with you every step of the way. Find a local agent today at ncfbins.com. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
Welcome back to the Best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Two things for you this segment. First, we're going to dig into Virginia Tech with Eddie Royal, former Virginia Tech Hokie wide receiver star, now with the ACC Network, and then North Carolina quarterback Max Johnson. He will sit down with us. Well, let's get right to it. Is Virginia Tech back with Eddie Royal? ACC Network's Eddie Royal is joining us here on Radio Row on the Adam Gold Show. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. You like your new vantage point?
Yeah, I'm not used to being on TV with
Of
radio.
course you are.
Like, which is
this?
I see. What are we?
We're live on YouTube all the time.
Okay,
This is the way it works these days. Yeah. ACC football has kind of been through it. You know, the public perception of the league over the last several years has been, well, but whatever. The brand name schools, when the brand name schools are good, everything seems better. Yep. Virginia Tech's a brand name school. Mm-hmm. Florida State kind of returned to it last couple of years. Been good to see. It's been good for the league. Virginia Tech's return would be great for the league. And I know when you were there, man, you guys were cranking out double-digit wins all the time.
Yeah.
What is it like seeing what we think is going to be a resurgent Hokies?
For me, outside of work, it's great. And the conference, it's great. Just because, like you said, the brand is so huge. And when Lane Stadium gets rocking, it's one of the best atmospheres. It is the best atmosphere in all of college football. A night game in that place, man, you can't touch it. And so seeing the other schools come up, you got the Clemsons, the Florida States. They've kind of always been there the last few years, but now it's time. We got NC State and Virginia Tech and a couple other schools. Louisville's going to be good.
Yeah.
And so it'll bring some respect to the conference because a lot of people overlook the ACC.
Right.
Because of who knows why. I still don't understand it. ACC is putting out a ton of great players in the NFL, well-coached teams. When you turn on the TV and you watch ACC football, it's a great brand of football. That's why the people that really know football aren't saying that the ACC is a bad conference. So it's huge for us to get Virginia Tech playing well again, and I believe it'll happen.
Can you separate yourself from Hokie football?
Yeah, I can. I
you don't have to.
No, you don't have to. But I want to do my job well.
Right.
And I know that I got to be honest. I'm an honest guy.
Right.
I can't watch bad football and not say that it's bad football. So I think they appreciate that about me. That I'll be honest. I get on there and tell the truth. And I think that's all you could ask for from someone representing your school.
How is Brent Pry? This is year 3. How did he kind of turn it around? It was like middle of last year where they started to finally find it.
Yep.
How did he do that?
Yeah, I think it was getting the right quarterback in there. Hey, players make coaches look great. Good players make coaches look great.
Yeah, it wasn't Frank Beamer. It was the likes of Eddie Royal.
Right. No. Hey, when you got them together, that's when you got something special. And so I think that's what we saw. Coach Pry figuring it out and figuring out his coaching style, and Tyler Bowen really, especially on the offensive side of the ball, figuring out what's going to work for this offense and give them an explosive type of offense. And Kyron Jones offered that. It was hard for him to win the starting spot without being tackled. When you go through camp, because he's a big physical quarterback and he can run and make plays, and when you don't see that, you don't get the full picture of what you have. So once they got an opportunity to see that, they were able to mold the offense around him, and that's when things really took off for them.
Eddie Royal, ACC Network, former Virginia Tech Hokie. All right, we'll leave the Hokies in the background for a second. Let's talk about the Wolfpack, as you mentioned them.
Yeah.
There's a lot expected. They're not one of those. I mean, I think they're a brand, but they're not one of the Clemsons, Florida States, Virginia Techs, Miamis. But they're that next tier of ACC schools that, when they're good, makes the league look a lot better. I think they could be legitimately good.
I know they'll be legitimately good because Dave Doran does a heck of a job with those guys. When you had issues at the quarterback position, it kind of changes everything.
Right.
You need a leader, a guy who you can trust out there. And Brennan Armstrong kind of went through injuries, and it was a weird year for them at the quarterback position.
It was.
Just threw it all off. Defense played lights out all year long. You expect that from the NC State team, and that's what happened. Now you got stability at the quarterback position. They got a couple running backs. One particular, Jordan Waters, who's, I mean, to grab him from Duke was one of the best gets in the transfer portal that nobody's talking about.
Right.
So to solidify the running back position as well, a spot that they've had issues with for the last couple of years as well, to get those two positions taken care of, that alone is going to push them over the hump, because you lose a guy like Peyton Wilson, but it's a Dave Doran defense. Those guys are going to be flying around. They're going to be hitting hard, and they're going to bring that energy and toughness that you're used to seeing.
Yeah, you talk about, I mean, Peyton Wilson was an amazing player. They will have guys. Devin Van will have a good year, and they have a bunch of other guys. I think Aiden White is back. But the offensive side of the ball, where they ultimately became a one-man show with KC Concepcion last year. But Waters is in. They've got other running backs behind him, but then now they have the bell cow, so to speak.
Yeah.
But they've got other wide receivers now.
Yeah.
Bringing Noah Rogers back to Raleigh from Ohio State. They seem to be a much deeper, more various offense.
Yeah, when you give Robert and I weapons, it's like, watch out, because he was handcuffed, like you said, and the fact that he was able to move KC around as much as he did and get him the amount of touches and the amount of production that he had, when you know that that's the one guy that you have to stop, I was blown away by it. So the fact that you give him a couple more weapons, a running game, a quarterback who knows how to distribute the ball and is very accurate and plays with great timing, this is going to be a dangerous offense. And I know Coach Doran probably doesn't want us hyping them up like this.
Too late.
But I'm really excited about what they can do.
Yeah, we're putting pressure on Dave Doran today. Eddie Royal, before we let you go, you're as an old wide receiver, do you have a favorite wide receiver in the league you like to watch?
There's a few. I like a lot of guys, and I talk to a decent amount of them, so I don't want to pick any of them out. But I'm trying to think of if we've added anybody that yeah, I'm not going to pick one because I don't want anybody mad.
Talk to me about KC. What does KC do well?
KC, I said it, and he reminds me of Percy Harvin a little bit,
Ooh.
The fact that he could do so much. He's so explosive, and you can't stop him. I mean, and he's must-see TV, right?
Yeah.
The fact that you can line him up in the backfield, give him a jet sweep, he does it all, and he's a competitor. Like you don't have to talk to him to know that. You don't have to be around him to know it. You can see it. And those guys, man, that brings that energy and that winning attitude to a team and excitement. And you just pull for guys like that. So he's definitely one of my favorite receivers to watch in the league.
There are people that when you said Percy Harvin went, oh, okay, because I think we all knew Percy Harvin was like a one-of-one type of a guy.
Yeah.
He really was. Eddie Royal, ACC Network, I thank you very much for hanging out, man. I hope we can do it again.
Yeah, it was fun.
Thanks to Eddie. Now we move on to Carolina's maybe quarterback of the present, Max Johnson. He is quarterback at UNC.
Yes, sir.
You have a big quarterback room. Did they put an addition on for all you guys? You got two quarterbacks here. There's another quarterback, Jacoby Criswell. I guess he couldn't fit in the plane. How was it coming down on the jet?
Unreal. First time I've been on a jet, private jet.
Right.
Pretty smooth ride. I got a little nap in. I enjoyed it.
It's not a long flight from Chapel Hill.
I know. I woke up early this morning, and truthfully, I thought it was going to be kind of a bumpy ride since it's such a small plane. But I enjoyed the ride, and I'm excited to be here.
How long a flight was it? A 20 minutes flight?
I think it was probably 35 minutes. Pretty easy.
They took a lot of traffic lights.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Started at LSU, went to A&M. Why North Carolina?
For me, this is the spot where I wanted to be, coming out of the portal.
Oh, really? Okay.
This is the place. This is my number one, and so blessed to be able to be here. Coach Lindsey's done a great job of recruiting me out of the portal, and I had a past relationship with Coach Lindsey.
Okay.
Back in 2017 when he was at Auburn, but seeing the success of Drake May, Sam Howell, the things they've done here with the players that have been around here, the offense they've run, I'm so excited to be here and be a part of something special.
All right. Your brother's here too. So what kind of did you make decisions together, or were they independent and you compared notes at the end? Explain how that worked.
I thought it was a very independent decision this time. Very, very independent. I knew where I wanted to go right out of the portal.
Right.
This was the spot. For Jake, it was more kind of deciding because he pretty much go wherever he wanted to.
Okay.
He had a great time at A&M. For him, he was kind of deciding between a couple schools. I really won't say it just to say it, but it was completely independent, and
right.
I think I'm glad he ended up here.
Who's better, you or your brother?
At what?
At football.
Completely different positions. So it's hard to say who's better.
Who's better at video games?
Not crazy on the video games, but the last game we played in the little NCAA game, I beat him with, I can't remember which team I had, but I think it was like 32-18 or something like that.
Yeah.
Got him pretty good, but
that's good.
We got a lot of competition that we get after.
All right, let's go to competition. We're talking with Max Johnson, North Carolina quarterback. I joked about the quarterback room, but
we got a lot of guys.
There's a lot of guys. So how do you walk the fine line between supporting each other, wanting everybody to be better because the common goal is that UNC is a better football team, and competing with one another because I know you want to play. You didn't come here to not play.
Yes, sir.
So and there are maybe 3 guys who could ultimately, not only play but be the guy. So how do you walk that fine line?
Yes, sir. I mean, I came here to play. That was the reason why I came here.
Right.
To play. Hopefully have a great year and go pro. That was my goal, and
right.
That is my goal. And yeah, of course we got a lot of guys, and that's a part of football, part of competition. We got 8 guys in the room total, including walk-ons. Yes. So I mean, it's a part of competing. We're all on the same team. We're pushing each other. We're going to ultimately be the best version of ourselves by the end of the day, and we're all pushing ourselves to be great.
How much has your dad, for people who do not know, your dad won a Super Bowl, right? With the Buccaneers, played for John Gruden. How much has your dad helped you in your development as a player? I mean, logically for us, we would go, oh my gosh, of course, his dad worked in the backyard or whatever. But how has your dad been able to help you?
Yeah, he's helped me with so much. He's helped me from everything in between workouts, throwing the ball, coverages, every single thing. It's not like he's helping me read my playbook now, because it's not like we talk about our playbook a lot,
right?
With him, but it's everything but that. It's how are you feeling? How do you think it's going? Even when I was a little kid, it was always pushing us to be the best version of ourselves, stay even keel, and he's given me so much advice, wisdom that I'll take for the rest of my life. He's had so many experiences from college, pro, so I've been able to learn so much.
Have there been any instances where you thought you made a great play or a great throw, and he said, yeah, but this wasn't right? Or has he been that kind of almost a coach in those regards?
Yes, but no. Like when it comes to nowadays, it's more being supportive. He comes to every single game that I played in college. He hasn't missed a game. So I'm very thankful for that.
Frequent flyer, Miles.
See, the thing is, they don't fly really.
Oh, no.
It's crazy. So when my brothers in high school, they would drive after every game of my brothers through the night. So I'm very thankful for that. But he's always been supportive. It's more I'm leaning on him and him kind of helping me and guide me.
Well, he lives in Georgia, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so it's not that far to get.
Not bad now.
From Chapel Hill. So two quick things, and these are kind of light. What's the better live mascot? The dog, Reveille, or Ramses the Ram?
Ramses the Ram.
He does very little, by the way.
But you talking about the dog?
The Ram. He just sits under the hedge. He just kind of sits there and chews.
But at the same time, I mean, I'm here. I absolutely love it. Go Heels, baby.
I'm tempted to end on that, but you mentioned Drake May and Sam Howell. Who was better?
Ooh. I think they got their own strengths. Each and every guy. They're both special players. They both did great things here at Carolina. They both had different players they play with, different
Yeah.
situations, different offenses. I think. I mean, I can't pick one because they both left, such a legacy here at Carolina, and I'm looking forward to continuing to watch film on them and get better, and I'm looking forward to it.
That was a very, very diplomatic answer. Howell's never had never had a hamburger.
Really?
Never.
Never had a hamburger.
Never. This is the Best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. When we come back, our third hour, Tom Luganbill, ESPN college football analyst and West Durham's partner this year. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Are you ready?
From 54, snap and hold are good. Kick is on the way, plenty of leg, and it is good!
Over the middle it goes, and he's got Puka Nacua to the 30, to the 20. No one's going to catch him.
Back to throw. Crosby off the edge, and he's got him back at the 23! Tua back to throw. Deep, down the numbers on the left, and the Cheetahs got it! Touchdown!
The NFL kicks off August 1st on 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Triangle Area Trading Cards is trading up, moving across the street to a big new location. Come to the grand opening party Saturday, August 3rd from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. You'll have $5,000 worth of giveaways, including store credits, hobby boxes, booster boxes, singles, and more. No purchases necessary to win. It's a great chance to see the inventory and trade for sports and TCG cards all day long. Details, find them on Facebook and Insta at Triangle Area Trading Cards.
An army never rests. The same is true for the Salvation Army of Wake County. Serving the most vulnerable populations in our community, the Army shelters the homeless, feeds the hungry, provides after-school and youth athletic programs, senior programs, and responds to natural disasters. Beyond the red kettle and Christmas bell ringing, the Army is there to help those in need all year long. Learn more at wakearmy.org. The Salvation Army. We love beyond the holidays.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career and they talked to me about it.
He was done in just months.
I did do it online.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months with zero experience at My Computer Career.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Here's Megan with Parkway Sleep Centers.
Are sleepless nights affecting your life? Parkway Sleep Health Centers can help. We've treated sleep disorders in the Triangle and beyond for over 20 years. We offer sleep studies, office visits, CPAP machines, supplies, and more. And our streamlined process allows us to see you sooner and usually saves hundreds of dollars.
End sleep problems. Live your best life. Experience the Parkway Sleep difference. Visit parkwaysleep.com and start your journey to better sleep today. Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Sound sleep. Sound health.
Theater Raleigh presents Bull Durham, a new musical playing Reynolds Industries Theater in Durham, September 10th through the 22nd. Based on the classic movie, follow Crash Davis and his Durham Bulls story in a new genre. Details and ticket info at theaterraleigh.com.
Wait, she's posting pics with a dude in Mexico. We just broke up.
If Heineken Silver was a doom-scrolling ex-boyfriend, it would have all the feels. None of the new boyfriend jealousy.
She looks happy. I'm gonna message her. Hey, Stace, loved the super cute post with @RideRyan7. Enjoy Mexico and that ceviche spot from last year. Send pics.
Heineken Silver, world-class light beer. Only 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All the taste, no bitter endings. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by September 2nd, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
This hour of buzzer-beating, nail-biting, edge-of-your-seat sports action on 99.9 The Fan is powered by
Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
Visit GotBryan.com.
That's GotBryan.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on radio, web, app, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Welcome back to the Best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. I get it. It's a random Wednesday, but, things happen. So we've done a lot of good work at ACC Football Media Day in Charlotte, so let's get right to it. Tom Luganville, ESPN college football analyst and West Durham's partner this year. We talked about everything from disrespect to maybe the sleepers in the league. Here's Tom Luganville. And we are at ACC Football Kickoff here in Charlotte with ESPN's Tom Luganville. You get to work with West Durham this year.
Well, not only do I get to work with West Durham, and it's interesting because he and I have done so many things over the years together, and then now we're finally being put on a regular package, right? So if I can pull him off the golf course, we might have a shot to be a pretty good broadcast team.
Yeah, this he gets it. He fits it in now.
Oh yeah, no. Well, he fits it in all the time.
Does he?
I think so.
Well, he hides it well because he is among the hardest working people I know, and I've known Wes such a long time. I think you guys are going to be great. Let's dig into. We could just start big picture. Mm-hmm. What the ACC has been fighting a perception problem. For some reason, they were fighting it in basketball the last couple of years, which is silly with all the Final Four teams and the Elite Eight teams, and as though they pretend every year that stuff doesn't matter.
Sure,
except it kind of does.
Yeah,
it'd be like saying that the SEC, if in a down year puts two teams in the playoff, like, well, it wasn't that good. Yeah, but so how does the ACC get out of a perception problem? I mean, it's got to be like NC State, Tennessee, Miami, Florida, right? Maybe even Florida State, Notre Dame.
No question. Florida. How about Florida State, Memphis?
That's right.
Because Memphis is the dark horse group of 5 team, right? Like they got 20 starters back. They could be an 11-1 type of team for the college football playoffs. So that's a big one too. And I think you hit the nail on the head. You've got to win the games that everybody's questioning whether or not you can, right? And you know what? To be honest with you, in fairness, the ACC's done a pretty decent job of that the last couple of years, particularly with Florida State, obviously, the Texas A&M Miami game, a year ago. But then what happens is you have the Miami Georgia Tech fiasco, right? So when you have those moments where you basically check the box and you accomplish the task, you can't fumble all over yourself in week 7 or 8, right? And I think that's the thing is we can talk all we want about winning those non-conference games, but at the end of the day, you have to be really good down the stretch, right? The really good teams that are championship level teams are hot in November. They're playing their best football in November. They're not slipping up against somebody that they shouldn't slip up against. And they're bona fide. And, I've heard this discussion throughout, and I heard it last week at SEC Media Days as well, and here this week. Everybody talks about, well, how many playoff caliber teams are there in the ACC? Okay. I think that's the wrong discussion because when you talk about playoff caliber teams, I think about, a playoff caliber, somebody that could actually win the national championship. Well, there's really only 4 to 6 of those teams in the country, right? So let's not talk about.
Well, we have a 12-team playoff.
Yeah, let's not talk about playoff caliber teams. Let's talk about how many teams could get to double-digit wins, or more, because that is what is going to determine whether you are included or excluded. So if I look at the ACC right now and I say Miami, Florida State, NC State, Clemson, and I think Virginia Tech, especially with Virginia Tech's schedule, all 4 to 5 of those teams, if they don't screw it up, are good enough teams to go 10-2 or better. Well, if you do that, you're getting 2 to 3 in the playoff. Right? So the talk shouldn't be about playoff caliber
unless
teams.
your quarterback gets hurt.
Exactly. The talk should be about what is your record going to be that puts you in the conversation. Doesn't mean you can win the national championship. You're not even guaranteed that you're going to win the opening game. But that to me is the real discussion. And I'm a big schedule guy. And I look at 3 things on the schedule. Who do you play? When do you play? And where do you play? All right. So who do you play? All right. That's a really good team. But are they the same team in week 2 as they were in week 10? Because if you switched them, you might have a different outcome. Are you playing that team in a hostile environment, or are you playing them on the road? All right. And then when it comes to who you're playing, are you outmanned? right? I mean, somebody's going to have to come up with a steal during the season, right? You're going to have to – luck's going to play a role.
Sure.
You're going to have to beat somebody you're not supposed to. All of those things come into play.
Yeah, I mean, just looking, you mentioned NC State. They have a schedule that's set up to succeed.
They do, and Virginia Tech does.
No question about that.
Yeah.
NC State does have to go to Clemson, and they have the game in week 2 against Tennessee.
Sure.
Their trip to Cal later in the year, I mean, that might not be the easiest thing in the world because we know Cal's going to be able to run the ball. But for the most part, their home schedule, I mean, if they lose a home game, we got a problem.
And that's on them.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You can't have those moments happen if you want to be taken seriously.
Right.
And I say that, and every coach in this building right now knows it. They know. Like they
they
realize,
don't want to talk about it, but they know.
We can't. Like they're sitting there watching tape on it and saying, you know what, we're probably better than these guys. And then you go lose to them. Like you can't do that. That's the thing.
Tom Luganbill is joining us here from ESPN. Let's start with Miami because I think Cam Ward is an interesting case. Miami's got tons of talent. They certainly underachieved last year. And maybe they've underachieved the last 2 decades.
Right.
But can he be a transformational player for them?
I think so. And I'll tell you the first thing that I looked at when I saw him jump in and you know, from Incarnate Word to Washington State to Miami, there's one common denominator. He's never had to change schemes.
Okay.
Version of the air raid, version of the air raid, version of the air raid, right? So he's bringing not only a wealth of experience, but the terminology.
Okay.
The knowledge of the theory of the offense and how he can impact other players because of that knowledge of the offense. You know, I go back, and it's not just Cam Ward. Grayson McCall is another example. DJ's another example. But I don't know if do you remember when Matt Rule at Nebraska, it was just after the February signing day, and somebody asked him about, you know, the transfer portal and quarterbacks, and he immediately said, well, you know, you realize it's going to cost $1.5, $2 million for a quarterback.
Right.
My immediate response to that was, how many quarterbacks in the transfer portal have played like $1 million? What do you mean you're paying them $1 million? Has they played like $1 million?
Right.
Well, as it relates to this conference, Cam Ward probably has. Grayson McCall probably has. I wouldn't say DJ has, but he's played a lot.
Played a lot. And he was pretty good at Oregon State last year.
He was pretty good at Oregon State. I think what gets overinflated and underevaluated is people talk about, well, he had his highest QBR. He had the most yards he's had in the season. He had the most touchdown passes he's had in the season. But he had the lowest completion percentage he's had in his career, right? Well, that's a reflection of accuracy. That's a reflection of making the right decisions, getting the ball where it needs to go, which I think we've all seen has been problematic for him. But he's played a lot. So the incoming transfer quarterbacks in this league, Tyler Shuck has been injured for the vast majority of his career, but when he's played, he's been really, really good. So if Louisville can keep him upright, they're going to be pretty good. So I think that's the thing that makes the quarterbacks in this league that are transfers a bit unique is they've all played well somewhere else. They're not a high-profile recruit that went to one school, was unhappy, transfers in, and now you're saying, okay, well, this guy's going to be the answer, but he hasn't done it yet.
Right.
These guys have all done it.
Let me get to NC State. Grayson McCall, he's the shiny object.
Yeah.
But the offensive line is almost all back intact. They should be pretty good.
You got a running back, Casey Concepcion. I mean,
they also some of the transfer receivers who bolstered that group. That was the weakest group.
Yeah.
Running back receiver group for them last year. It became all Casey Concepcion.
Right.
He became their best running back. Then you bring in Jordan Waters from Duke, who is a dynamite between the tackles runner with some burst. Your thoughts on how that offense can be transformational for them?
So I'm really interested to see what Robert and I is going to do with Grayson McCall. And I say that because I had the opportunity to broadcast a midweek Sunbelt game between Coastal and App State. The last year for Grayson McCall under Jamie Chadwell and the first year under Tim Beck at Coastal last year. Two vastly different offensive approaches. I mean, night and day. So Grayson McCall had come from a spread, option, RPO. That's all he knew.
Right.
And at Coastal last year, they were a little bit more traditional, a little bit more West Coast pro style. They'd have some RPO stuff, this and that. And quite honestly, it was a struggle for him. It's not that he played bad, but you could tell that he wasn't just quite as comfortable because that's not what he had done. And so I'm interested to see if Robert Anae, the offensive coordinator, tries to blend what NC State is on offense with what Grayson McCall does really, really well. And that is RPO, quarterback run, zone read, quarterback power, quarterback counter, just to keep people honest and keep the defense on their heels, in the sense that we always have to be aware that the quarterback could be a running threat.
Sure.
And I think you maximize his strengths if you incorporate that into the offense. And I think they're one of the best developmental programs in all of America. And people, they want to make or add a negative connotation when you say developmental. I'd look at it as a compliment, because in today's day and age, when you can identify somebody and say, we think he's going to be this in 3 years, and he is, that's a talent. And Dave Dorn and his staff have done that for over a decade now.
Yeah, D'Antonio Burnett, the strength and conditioning coach, gets a ton of credit for physically developing as many defensive linemen.
And NFL guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And guys who are still playing on Sundays. Tom Luganbill is joining us here. Can Clemson get back, or has Dabo kind of let the portal world kind of go on without him? Because for the last couple of years, they just haven't had any dynamism at all at receiver.
Right.
And that's a good place to go. I mean, if Florida State can go get dynamic receivers out of the portal, why can't Clemson?
Right.
I think that's held them back as much as anything. Haven't had great quarterback play, to be honest, but maybe those two things are connected.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, and I remember, so I was on the sideline as an analyst for the Clemson-Duke game on Labor Day, opening weekend last year.
What a night!
And we're in a commercial break, and I'm talking on my mic to the guys in the booth, Dave Pash and Dusty Dvorak. I say, guys, are my eyes deceiving me, or is Duke faster on defense than Clemson is on offense? We all saw it.
Yeah.
All right, and it was glaring. And Clemson couldn't separate. It couldn't create any explosive plays. Cade was really rattled. I think that their approach, and I will say that I think Dabo he takes a lot of heat for what he says in relationship to the portal, but he's not necessarily wrong. When you have a roster that would be considered, from a talent perspective, you have a roster that would be considered top 5 to 7 in the country overall, which they do.
Sure.
How many players in the transfer portal are actually better than what you currently have? Doesn't mean that there aren't some players that could help you.
Right.
So I understand that criticism. I understand that you could go and say, let's target 1 or 2 guys and see if we can get those guys. He's right in the sense that if there's a really good player, if you've tampered, he's gone. The deal's already done. So you don't have to go into the portal and you say, hey, let's go target that guy. He's gone to the portal. He already knows where he's going, right? So that's a fact. That's reality. I do think that they could do more, but I don't think it has to be to the level that everybody wants it to be. If you had a roster that wasn't very good, then I get bringing in 12 to 15 guys every year or turning over 30 guys. I get that.
Mike Norvell had no choice.
He had no choice. Right. And nobody has hit in the transfer portal better than Mike Norvell from a percentage of success rate. Nobody. Not even Lane Kiffin. Nobody. So I do think, though, at receiver, Clemson brought in 2 freshmen, Bryant Wesco being one of them, that really upgrade their speed and explosiveness. Now, they are freshmen. So obviously you can play at that position. That's the thing. They're faster. That's important. But I also think that Cade Klubnik needs to take that next step, man. I mean, he needs to have a Max Duggan type of year, the year TCU went to the national championship. He has to. And so I'm very much looking forward to, because they're going to be loaded on defense now.
Yeah, they're always
loaded on defense. If they get just a 15 to 20% uptick in offensive production at quarterback and at wideout, they're going to be really good.
Tom Luganbill from ESPN. I thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good to meet face to face.
Absolutely.
We'll talk again.
Sounds good, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
When we come back on the Best of the Adam Gold Show, Darren Gant, Panthers.com, early training camp notes for your Carolina Panthers. Next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Win Your Weight in Meat is back on 99.9 The Fan. Text PORK, P-O-R-K, to 919-860-5326 and enter for your chance to be one of our finalists. Through August 2nd, we'll pick 10 people to come on air during the drive with me, Tim Donnelly, and share their weight. On August 5th, we will randomly select one lucky winner, and they will score their weight in meat. Served up by the North Carolina Pork Council and their dedicated team of farmers that put bacon and barbecue on your plate. Learn more at ncpork.org.
Adam Gold here from my man, Coach Pete DeRuta, Capital Financial Advisory Group in Apex. And what are we here to do? We are here to help you retire on your terms with everything you need to do what you want to do in retirement. They are really called your years of leisure. We shouldn't have to worry, do I have enough to do this? So let's get with Coach Pete DeRuta right now. He is a retirement planning expert, a maven, a guru, a specialist, and he has a customized retirement plan specifically tailored for your needs. You have to call 888-843-0013 or text Adam to 600-700, and a total customized retirement plan for you is free. It's a $1,000 value for somebody else. Call today, 888-843-0013. Your retirement is important. Let's go to the right guy. Coach Pete DeRuta, Capital Financial Advisory Group. Call today.
It's bow time.
A leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
Leg and thigh dinner from Bojangles for just $5.99?
So crispy.
So crispy.
And juicy.
And juicy.
So much flavor.
So much.
Stop it. What are you doing?
What, you expect me to get this delicious deal and not say anything?
You're unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
With a boldly seasoned leg and thigh, choice of fixin', a biscuit, and legendary iced tea, it's a deal so good it's worth repeating. So eat and repeat while it lasts. It's bow time.
It's bow time. Dine in, drive through, or tap your favorite delivery app and have Bojangles come to you. Satisfy your craving for flavor right now with Bojangles 2-piece dinner. 2 pieces of Bojangles dark meat chicken, your choice of fixin', a biscuit, and iced tea for just $5.99. That's right, just $5.99 for limited time at participating Bojangles. What are you waiting for? When you're hungry, it's always bow time.
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's winds blowing across a fruited plain, and also your new fire pit, which subsequently sets your gazebo ablaze. It's hard-hitting football, and an even harder-hitting price estimate from your general contractor. That's a star-spangled bummer. It's also around-the-clock protection when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership alive and kicking. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer Sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair's gone, all thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
This is the best of the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Darren Gant, Panthers.com, joined me late last week to talk about your Carolina Panthers and how they look early in training camp. It's time to ask the old guy as the Carolina Panthers are fully back in training camp. It is exciting. And training camp for the first time, not the first time, first time in a while, I guess, is in Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium, which I don't know if it makes it easier for Darren Gant or not. It is all about you, Darren Gant, as we asked the old guy, Darren Gant, Panthers.com. I'm sure it makes it a little bit more convenient, maybe not super great, but a little bit more convenient to have everything so close to home.
A little bit, but if we start making this all about me, they're going to give me a job at a newspaper again, Adam. The story's about the football team.
All right.
They don't have to move all their stuff from Charlotte to Spartanburg and back in the span of 3 weeks. So, for that standpoint, I mean, it's more practical for everybody because, the things you don't think about, like, having to move an entire weight room.
Right.
Having to move the entire athletic training apparatus into a brand new place and move it back. All the computers and IT that have to go back and forth. There's all those millions of little things that you can do your daily job in the same place every day the same way. It's just a lot more convenient.
I'm sure it's good for you as working for Panthers.com. They probably asked you to move a lot of the heavy equipment. All right, let's get to the most fascinating thing that I heard over the first few days had nothing to do with Bryce Young, believe it or not. I was impressed by the fact that J.C. Horn had a very smart sense of it's time for me to play, not just play well. He recognized that less than 50% of the games that he's been available for. He understands that he's got to stay on the field. To me, that's job one.
Yeah, self-awareness is a good thing. We value it in people, and that's not just a football comment. JC gets it, and one of the things it's interesting. We posted a story today on the website. This defense is brand new, and he's kind of in the middle of it. If you think about it, there's Derek Brown, there's J.C. Horn. And sort of Shaq Thompson, but Shaq missed all of last year practically after breaking his ankle in week 2. So you've got a consistent staff and a consistent scheme, but then it's JC and Derek and a bunch of new guys. So I think it's going to be fascinating to see how he develops as a player. Hopefully JC's able to stay on the field because when he's been out there, he's been one of the better corners in the game. He's really good at this football. He's just not been great at availability, and obviously that's a big deal. And he knows that. So, I mean, I thought, people are free to ask whatever they want to ask. It was weird to ask JC about contracts because, again, I wouldn't – if I was a team, I wouldn't necessarily be thinking about extending him right now. And if I was him, I wouldn't want to negotiate an extension now because you're not exactly dealing from a position of strength.
Right.
So the fact that he's thinking about getting himself getting himself on the field and staying there is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and the fact is they picked up his fifth-year option already, so there's plenty of time to hash all that out. Offensively speaking, I'm going to assume – look, I don't have to assume. It was – incredibly unfair the way people talked about Bryce Young last year because it almost didn't matter if he was good or if he was bad. We had no chance to be able to tell the difference because there just wasn't enough around him. Everything has been improved. Forget about the coaching, although I assume the coaching will be improved. Everything around him looks better than it did a year ago.
Yeah, it's not a stretch to say it, and then you know how this goes, having seen the cycle of life in sports, professional and otherwise. The old guy gets fired, everything gets blamed on the old guy, and the people who aren't here anymore because they're the easiest to blame because they're not around to defend themselves anymore. That being said, it has to be better because last year was an abject disaster. Everything about it should be killed with fire. But a wise man told me early in my career, you've got to be careful about judging any individual part of a bad situation because you don't know how much of it is their fault individually versus the systemic failure. And that's how I'm kind of approaching Bryce this year. I'm just, it's almost like a do-over, a red shirt year or something like that, whatever you want to call it. You can't really apply a lot of those lessons. The only thing Bryce really benefits from is having a year's worth of scar tissue, knowing what the calendar looks like, knowing what the rhythms of the NFL
Going beyond the box scores, Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
What this offense is going to look like. We don't know yet how good Dave Canales is going to be at calling plays for this collection of people. But what I can tell you is Dave Canales talks an awful lot about running the ball, and it's interesting. When I asked him yesterday about, this new defense. He said something. He was like, well, I truly believe that the most important thing you can do is run the ball and stop the run. And I started having flashbacks for a minute. I thought it was Foxy or Ron Rivera or Dom Capers even. I was like, wait, you're new and young and handsome. You're not supposed to be saying things like that, Dave. But he talks an awful lot about running the ball, running it stubbornly. If you want a hot take coming out of this training camp, take the over on Chuba Hubbard rushing yards this year, because I think he's got an opportunity to really play well. If you think about structurally what they've done, they fixed that offensive line from the inside out by moving Austin Corbett in the center and spending $150 million on 650 pounds of guard. A guy who can run inside benefits from that. And, oh, by the way, a left tackle in Ike Ekwonu who's a better run blocker than pass blocker.
Right.
So I'm bullish on Chuba this offseason, and not just because he's one of the hardest working people I've ever seen walk through the door of the place. He's turned himself into a player, and he's taken things he used to be really, really bad at, like catching passes, and through the sheer force of work, fix them and become proficient at it. So I've got all the respect in the world for the kid for remaking himself mid-career and putting himself in a position to benefit.
Yeah, and Jonathan Brooks there as the second-round pick out of Texas obviously will add to the running back room. Let's talk about
eventually.
You think?
I think it's important to remember that we ain't gonna look at Jonathan Brooks for a minute. If he plays in the first month of the season, that's probably an upset.
Okay,
so give him time, get himself well. I mean, he's coming off an ACL,
right?
And I think the longer you can let that thing heal, the stronger you are on the backside of it. And I think there's a recognition that was not a draft pick for immediate impact for a Super Bowl run or anything.
All right, Darren Gant, Panthers.com. We are asking the old guys. So
almost did it. You almost got fined. You almost said Rock Hill Herald.
Yes, I did. I was going to go Rock Hill Herald. I was going to go Rock.
Classics, they never go out of style.
Xavier Liggett was unhappy with his first day at training camp. It's kind of strange. He was unhappy because he felt like he took some plays off more than he didn't perform well. I mean, I'm not reading anything into that there, but we know what kind of talent he's got. Also, listen to Bryce Young talk about how Jonathan Mingo looks a little bit different. I've read, I think from you, that Young and Deontay Johnson are becoming fast friends on the practice field.
Thing, those two.
Yeah. So, last year it was Adam Thielen, and that was it. And this year it seems like there's just a lot more options.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's the right way to fix that problem. When everything's broken, throw as many potential fixes at it as you can and see what happens. I just think that, again, not to lean too much into last year, but it was so bad it can't help but be better.
Yeah.
But just watching those practices now, I think Mingo is a guy who probably we're not talking about enough. Now, granted, it's 2 days into camp. We're going to talk about them all before we get to the regular season. But Mingo is a guy who got a lot of reps in the spring because Deontay Johnson's going to be – he's pretty good. He knows how to get open, and that there weren't enough of those last year here. But while Deontay was out working out on his own at his home base, Mingo was here running around with the ones taking his reps. So he's looked a lot sharper. I think Mingo was the guy who just hit the wall. In the absence of decent options last year, that kid was taking every rep in practice from the minute he walked in the door, and he looked worn out by the end of the year. He looked like he didn't have a thing left. So seeing him this spring, he's a guy who could potentially benefit. And let's be honest. I mean, Deontay Johnson's here on kind of a mercenary one-year contract. Yeah. He's trying to maximize his value so he can be a free agent in a year. Adam Thielen's almost as old as me and you. You never know how. Well, that's not even remotely true. He's probably. Well, he's more than half our age, but still, the point stands. He's not going to be a long-term answer. So I think when you look at these practices in the summer and see Mingo, that's probably the future of the offense right there. So I'm kind of curious to watch those guys and how they grow.
The interesting thing about Thielen, and yes, he is more than half of my age, but not significantly so. The
math is hard, and I prefer we not do it right now on this particular topic.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of math conversations today, as it turns out. So, to me, he was like a tight end last year, right? He was that underneath between. He caught some stuff on the edges, but a lot of it was underneath. He was the hot read for Bryce Young, the security blanket, really acting as what a great tight end would be like for a young quarterback, like a Greg Olsen for a young Cam Newton, even Jeremy Shockey, right? So this is, to me, now it's perfect because as you get more options on the outside and you get more speed options, Thielen can be easily used as that safety valve, that security blanket. And then you've got working in the other tight ends. Look, I don't know how good the offense is going to be. It'll be better. But I just think that there are more things for the defense to deal with. So before we have to say goodbye, we haven't really talked about Bryce. Your thoughts on what you have seen from not the on-field stuff. We've only had a couple of days, and I know he's great, 4 for 4 in 7-on-7s in day one. But what are your thoughts on what we have seen, at least in terms of the appearance of Bryce?
Bryce seems more comfortable. Here's a news flash. Here's an exclusive. Here's some breaking news. Bryce Young actually has a personality. I've seen it with my own two eyes.
Right.
He looks a lot more comfortable in his own skin this year. I mean, he was kind of a quiet guy walking in the door, and we all knew that. I mean, you could tell that when he was at Alabama. But then after being under siege for 6 months, if he looked shell-shocked last year, there's a good reason for that.
Yeah.
So I don't particularly hold anything last year against him in a lot of ways, but he's kind of walked in the door this year. He's a little more self-possessed. He's a little more, kind of aware of the system. And I think as he just gets more and more comfortable, all the things that are true. This is no lie, and I don't know if this is breaking news, but this is a little teaser for you. In talking to some of the old heads about Julius Peppers stuff for the Hall of Fame coming up next weekend, I had a conversation with Dan Henning. And Dan Henning, the old offensive coordinator, whom I hold in great esteem, was talking about Bryce. He still follows the game and is familiar with all the people in it. And he was like, Vince Lombardi used to talk about wanting his quarterback to make more plays for his team in the fourth quarter than for the other team. And he found that guy in Bart Starr. And he said, Bryce can be that kind of quarterback, play with a good defense, play with a good run game, take care of the ball. Bart Starr was a 17th round pick, and by the way, happens to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And again, I ain't putting Bryce in the Hall of Fame too soon. And you got to get good at football before you can be considered great at it. But I think the point stands in that the stuff Bryce is good at is taking care of the ball. Even last year in all the abject disaster, he didn't throw that many picks considering.
Right.
So it could have been so much worse, and it wasn't necessarily. So if Bryce takes care of the ball, if Bryce spreads it around to more targets, and most importantly, if Bryce turns around and hands it off 250 or 300 times this year, I think he's in a position to be better. We'll see how much better, and we'll see whether that actually turns into good.
All right, next time we talk, Darren Gant, because you mentioned the Hall of Fame and Julius Peppers going in. Next time we talk, we will have a conversation about potentially Cam Newton being a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Is that fair?
That's fair. Build in an extra long segment.
I know.
I think I could talk about that all day long.
I know you can.
I have thoughts.
I have already forecast that out. I have not warned people, but told people that you are very bullish on that possibility, and we'll have that conversation next time.
It's like an after-school special in a very special episode. Darren Gant says,
I watched a lot of after-school specials. Darren Gant is the from Panthers.com is the old guy in the bubble, starring John Travolta. I will talk to you very soon. Thank you so much.
You got it. Anytime.
And when we come back on the Best of the Adam Gold Show, we will talk with Gary Stokan, who runs the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. We'll talk about the future of college athletics, how he sees it. from somebody who at one point was kind of, aiming to be an athletic director. What is he thinking about the way of the future of college athletics? And we'll also talk about bowls and preseason games and Clemson, Georgia in Atlanta. All of that with Gary Stokan on the Best of the Adam Gold Show next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here for my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and they are the best place to bet the games this summer because right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Then you can bet on all your favorite international teams in all your favorite sports, from basketball to badminton and soccer to swimming. FanDuel has it all. Don't miss your chance to score $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS to sign up and start betting the games today. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 or over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Everyone goes through tough times, and everyone can get through them, as long as they don't have to do it alone. Dial 988 if you need someone to talk to. Get what you need to get to a better place. Together, we'll find the care that works best for you. We're here 24/7. Call, text, or chat 988. 988. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
The North Carolina News Network and the North Carolina Healthcare Association invite you to listen to our latest podcast. Hospitals play a key role in emergency readiness alongside first responders who protect us from any scenario. During this month's conversation on the state of healthcare, we take an in-depth look at the role that First Health Moore Regional Hospital played at the U.S. Open in Pinehurst. We'll talk with Moore Regional President Jonathan Davis, who says,
We start our day with an 8:30 safety huddle. We call it looking back, looking forward in our days to kind of highlight and bring forward any concerns or organizational issues, community issues that may occur.
We also speak with Dr. Catherine Newell with First Health EMS. She reiterates,
we spent about a year beforehand meeting with federal, state, and local representatives to ensure a thorough preparation for the event.
You can listen to our latest conversation wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts or by visiting nchealthcare.org.
If you pay your city or town for electricity, you live in a public power community. Our public power providers in North Carolina keep the power on 99.9% of the time. That averages out to be less than 1 hour a year without power. Public power line workers who work day and night, rain or shine, are key to that unbeaten reliability. Better reliability, fewer outages, faster restoration. That's the value of public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
Your North Carolina Zoo is open year-round, and a family membership is a wonderful way to enjoy a wild outdoor experience. Members can bring guests at a discount and enjoy seeing animals from North America, Africa, plus a global desert. Your North Carolina Zoo membership is recognized by over 150 zoos and aquariums nationwide, offering free or reduced admission. Make your next visit to the North Carolina Zoo as a member rather than a visitor. Learn more about family memberships at nczoo.org.
At North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, we believe that getting to know you is the best way to protect what you love most. We have friendly agents in every county to help you prepare for the unexpected. And when life doesn't go as planned, our award-winning claims team will be with you every step of the way. Find a local agent today at ncfbins.com. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance. Helping you is what we do best.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Adam Gold here as we wrap up this edition of the Best of the Adam Gold Show, but we're not done yet. We head back to ACC Football Media Days in Charlotte and my conversation with Peach Bowl Executive Director Gary Stokan. All right, Gary Stokan of the Peach Bowl is here. What do you look at my notes? It's in my notes. Gary Stokin of the Peach Bowl is here.
That's impressive. You have notes.
I do have notes. What do you think? You think I just sit here and make stuff up for 3 hours?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Well, you know me very well. Let's start with the game. Clemson and Georgia, and we'll go from there. It's a noon kickoff.
Noon kickoff.
This year. Is this because you have plans at night?
Yeah.
What is that?
ESPN had 3 games.
Yeah.
Florida, Miami.
That's a great game.
And Texas A&M Notre Dame. And because NBC controls Notre Dame's rights in most cases, whenever they play an SEC or ACC team and ESPN's involved,
right,
they want to put Notre Dame on primetime.
Sure.
They said, hey, you're playing in air conditioning. We can put you at noon, and it's not going to be as hot in Miami or as in the swamp at 4 o'clock, which...
Good luck with that.
I know. But so we're at noon. Miami and Florida are at 3:30, and then 7:30 is Texas A&M Notre Dame. So we'll take it.
You have the best matchup.
Well, thank you. I think it's a great matchup. I go back to, when I was at Adidas in 81 and 82, I had Clemson and Adidas when they won the national championship, and the next year I had Herschel Walker and Adidas when Georgia won it.
What are you saying? You're saying we should wear Adidas?
Well, at that time, there's your Aflac duck with the old leather helmet on.
I like it. I like the Aflac duck. Is this a gift?
That's a gift.
It's a gift. All right.
We come bearing gifts. Here's a sandwich.
I got a sandwich. This is a card.
What else do you need?
But no,
I think we got a great game. Having 2 top 10 teams, and this is just a start because when you look at the rest of the season in Atlanta with college football, we have 2 teams, 2 top 10 teams in the SEC championship game.
Right.
Then the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, the CFP playoff, we have a quarterfinal game where we'll get one of the top 4 ranked champions of the conferences, which will more than likely, because of the contracts that exist between bowls, the Big Ten champ will play in the Rose Bowl in the quarterfinal. The SEC and Big 12, whoever's ranked highest, will go to the Sugar Bowl because of their contract they have. And so it's us in the Fiesta. Well, let's say it's the Big 12 that's behind the SEC. The Big 12 will probably play in the Fiesta Bowl.
Right.
And then the ACC would probably come to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. So
nice.
Clemson probably wants to play 3 times in Atlanta, once in our Aflac kickoff game, once in our Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and then we'll host for the first time a city to host twice in the CFP era. The national championship game is in Atlanta, Georgia.
It's a big year.
Great year.
For
4 games, all top 10 teams in Atlanta this year.
All right. So who do you think from the ACC?
Well, I think
there's a lot of
obviously,
options.
I think you guys are voting Florida State and Clemson as being the top 2 teams.
I submitted my ballot for the ACC. I did not have Clemson as number 2.
I think North Carolina State's the sleeper. A lot of people are talking about Miami, depending on how Cam Ward steps up.
Right.
Obviously, depending on how what's the kid from Coastal Carolina?
Oh, Grayson McCall.
Grayson, how he steps up for NC State. It's become like the NFL. If you don't have a quarterback in college, you can't play.
You certainly can't win big. It's hard to win big.
Right.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I think North Carolina could be good without their great quarterback.
Yeah, offensive defensive lines are very important. You got to have a lot of depth, and then you got to have a quarterback. And I think NC State has one. Miami has one if Cam Ward steps up.
Right.
In Clemson, I think our game, going back to our Georgia game, and Clemson in the Aflac kickoff game, both teams are top 5 defenses.
Yep.
What quarterback, Beck or Klubnik's going to step up, play better against a tough defense, and then special teams, who turns the field punting wise, or how many field goals can you kick? Because both defenses are going to keep you out of the end zone for the most part.
Avoiding turnovers, that's the old cliche,
especially in big games and in first games of the year.
Gary Stokin from the Peach Bowl is joining us here. Kickoff game, the Aflac kickoff game. Here's the duck. Does this have a squeaker in it?
Yeah, it does. I think on the tail, if you somewhere.
No, I can't find a squeaker. It's not a dog toy.
It will say Aflac.
Oh, okay. It should. It should. Why isn't Dion here? Dion's busy. you and I like to talk about big picture things with you. Can you believe where we are with college? Because I think it's college football and athletics is being dragged. The rest of even basketball, the rest of it's being dragged with it. Can you believe where we are? We've been talking every year for, I don't know, a decade and a half. Do you believe where we are?
I hesitate because I think a lot of people are talking about money all the time now.
Yeah,
and we're not pro sports. And I'm glad the kids have an opportunity for their NIL if it were done the right way, right?
Right.
But now, you got collectives that are paying kids 17, 18-year-olds pay for play to come to your school.
Right.
And then you've got, with the transfer portal on top of that, if a kid doesn't play a week or he gets hurt and doesn't play or he has a bad week, you got all these hanger-ons between high school coaches, calling high school coaches or calling parents that are saying, hey, is Adam not happy there?
Right.
Does he want to transfer? I mean, what are we doing? College athletics, our mission should be, look, give a kid a chance at a scholarship, give him his education, get him a degree, and then get him a job. And so all these collectives, instead of pay for play on the front side, they should all be getting the 98% of the kids that aren't going to go pro, giving them a job.
Right.
And even the kids that go pro, if you look at NBA, there's 32 teams with no-cut contracts. The first-round kids are pretty much the only kids that make it. If you look at college football, let's say you got 5 kids on a team that ultimately, not drafted, but make the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's not until their 4th year of free agency where they make substantial money that changes your life. You're slotted your first 3 years. Right.
If you're a first-round pick, you make a lot of money.
Pick, you get the $15 to $20 million signing bonus. So, yeah, you're in good shape. But there's only
32 of those.
32 teams there, right?
Right.
So, what I'm saying is if you had 5 kids drafted and make the team, maybe 1 or 2 of them is going to get to their 4th year. So those 3 kids are even 25, 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They got to pick up a lunch pail the rest of their life. So, to me, they should have created a situation where all this extra money is tied to you getting your degree. And then I have no problem how much money they put it in a trust fund.
You're an old school guy. So I appreciate that.
I'm an old school guy because I've seen what college athletics can do. And the other thing that I struggle with, what are we teaching these kids if they face adversity and they can just transfer?
Right.
Right. I mean, life is full of adversity.
Mm-hmm.
Life is going to slap you in the face. And how you come out of it by facing adversity and what you do and building your character, that's how successful you're going to be. And so I'm not sure we're teaching the kids we need to teach them with some of the things we're doing. How many of these kids are transferring 2 and 3 times? How much are their credits transferring with them? JT Daniels just came out, real smart kid, 5-star, starts at Southern Cal, 2nd year goes to Georgia, 3rd year goes to West Virginia, 4th year goes to Rice. Now, he got his degree, but he said 80% of his credits didn't transfer.
How did he get his degree?
Yeah. I mean, because he's had 6 years because of COVID. Right?
Right, that's true.
But now they're not going to have COVID years. Right?
Right, we're done with that.
So, to me, we've got to go back to our mission. Our mission is college athletics. And unfortunately, we asked the presidents to make decisions that they're not prepared to make because they don't know the ins and outs of the subject matter. It puts the presidents in very difficult positions.
Should athletic directors be making those decisions? I mean, ultimately, the university presidents have to make them. But should the athletic directors be talking through this? Or are they...
It's part of the problem of how we got here, Adam,
or is it too focused on the sport anyway?
Well, the athletic directors at some point put us in problems. Because if you go back, guys, probably 15, 20 years now, there was a lot of problems, a lot of NCAA compliance issues, and problems. So the president said, hey, we're going to put a president in to run the NCAA. They put Mark Emmert in, and Mark Emmert cut the athletic directors out. And as soon as he cut the athletic directors and put it all in the president's hands, the presidents they didn't have the knowledge, so they couldn't cast a vision. And to be a leader, you got to know the subject matter so you can cast a vision of where you're going. And then you got to expect some heat. Well, presidents don't like heat, and they didn't know the subject matter. And so if 10, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, we'd have said, look, every kid has a scholarship for life. If you don't get your degree in 4 or 5 years, you can come back and you're on scholarship still, number one. Number two, we're going to take care of your medical for the next 15 or 20 years or a lifetime. We'd have done that. And thirdly is if you get your degree, we got $50,000 or $100,000, name a number, in a trust fund that if you get your degree, you can access that money. If we'd have done those three things, we wouldn't have had any of the realignment. We wouldn't have had any of the issues that we have right now.
I've talked about this. Gary Stoker from the Chick-fil-A Bowl is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show at Radio Row ACC Media Day. I talked about this for a long time, is that the insistence that the collegiate model and the denying athletes of name, image, and likeness rights and all of these things for so many years.
That's right.
Has led us to like an explosion of everything at once, which has led to everybody trying, we could do this, we could do this. That wasn't the way it was intended, and that's why we're here.
No, that's right. The pendulum swung so far from one side where we didn't do anything to now it's swung way too far the other way, and we've got to find going forward some happy medium. Again, not denying the kids any opportunity, but are you going to give a kid 18 years old, your own kid, a car that goes 150 miles an hour? You give him the keys to that car?
I would not.
No, because and we were all young men, teenagers. We all thought we were bulletproof. Well, athletes think they're super bulletproof.
Right.
But yet we're, giving kids 18 years old these cars, and what do you expect to happen, right? It's just a shame we've reached this point. Now, it's the new norm, so don't be the old man sitting on the porch.
Right.
You got to deal with it. You got to make the best effort you can with it. But again, let's not forget these 98% of these kids that aren't going to go pro. Let's go get them jobs through these collectives rather than collectives giving money for pay for play.
All right, we have to. We're going to have to go here in a second. Do you have thoughts on the Strawberry Pop-Tart Memorial upstairs? Have you seen it?
No.
Come on, you got to go see it. The Strawberry Pop-Tart that was eaten last year.
I didn't see it.
See, can we eat we can't eat the duck.
I just worry about ducks and cows.
We can't eat
the cows of Chick-fil-A and the ducks of Aflac.
We can't eat the Aflac duck.
Joe, you got to be focused. Right?
All right, but I'm just saying, the Strawberry Pop-Tart Memorial. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. 12-team playoff. Is it staying at 12?
I think we'll learn a lot. There's a lot of unintended consequences with this playoff.
Okay, give me an unintended consequence of the playoff. Gary
worry. There's two things I worry about. One is fans who have to travel to a conference championship game, and then a first-round game, and then a quarter, and then a semi, and then have Christmas, and then have to go to a championship game. That's a lot of money. These
absolutely.
algorithms of these airlines jack up the prices.
Sure.
And you've only got a week in between now. You don't have a month like we've had in the past where conference championship ended first week of December and the bowls were end of December into January. That's one. The second thing is the concern I have of first-round players getting a $20 million card from the NFL after the conference championship with a 1 on it.
Okay.
That guarantees them $15 to $20 million signing bonus and probably, I'll estimate a $30 to $40 million contract over 4 years. And everybody is hurt at the end of the season. Everybody's banged up. Now you're going to ask that kid to go play his conference championship and then go play at Ohio State, toughest team they played. Then the next week play Pickett, Alabama, toughest team they played. The next week go play Michigan, the toughest team, and then go play Georgia.
Right.
I mean, and that's 17 games, and that's an NFL season, right?
I've said it. People think that.
So that's an unintended consequence that we have to really look at. The agent and the parents in the kid's head saying, what are you doing here? Right. This is generational money. I think that's an unintended consequence.
I have said that for a long time. People think the opt-outs only happen in the lower bowls. We've seen them. Florida State had 28 players not play in their bowl game against Georgia.
In 21, we had Kenneth Walker, who was first-team All-American from Michigan State.
Right.
Played at Wake Forest for 3 years. Was a number one pick. And Tucker, his coach, Coach Tucker, told me he's had a bad ankle the whole year since game one.
Right.
So, he got the number one draft card. He's looking at $15 to $20 million signing bonus and $30 to $40 million contract. He doesn't play in our bowl game. Kenny Pickett was first-team All-ACC and first-team All-American, at Pitt, and he had a bad foot and bad ribs. And got the number one pick, and
here you go.
He didn't play either.
It's going to happen.
And people came to me and said, well, why don't you give him $50,000 NIL money to play in your game? I said, $50,000 when he's looking at, $40 million.
Right.
What would you do?
Yeah.
So we got to look at that.
100% agree with that. Gary Stokin, it's always cool. I'll call you soon.
Yeah. Look forward to it.
Affleck,
have a great season.
It doesn't. I have a defective duck. It's not making any noise.
You got a bad touch there.
I must.
Thing. I'll get him.
All right. Thank you very much for hanging out on a Best of the Adam Gold Show. Just on a random Wednesday. Sorry, we'll be back live tomorrow. I know we're going to talk football with Ryan Wilson of CBSSports.com. And we'll talk some Panthers and we'll talk some Olympics. We got a lot of stuff. And who knows? Baseball trade deadline. Did your team do it right? I know the Braves did some work. Or maybe a little Hurricanes. Maybe the Hurricanes will have made another move between then and now. Until then, I am Adam Gold. This has been the Best of the Adam Gold Show. Special thanks to my friend Rusty Helsing for making it all work. I appreciate everybody's time. We'll see you tomorrow, Thursday, on the Best of the Adam Gold Show. Although that'll be live, so it'll just be the Adam Gold Show.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.